Good morning, Unleashed Lund loyalists. Thanks for tuning in live each weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. Remember, please like and subscribe and listen where you get your podcasts. Be on the lookout for Lund loyalists perks by joining the club. And if you really want your comments read during the show, you can use supers and stickers. Now, as close to on time as he gets, here's Johnny.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much for joining us. I don't need to yell into the microphone. Thanks for joining us. Oh, we are stacked today. Look at that. Super Bowl, of course. Episode 55. It is more than amazing to have you in here today. Look at everybody, man. Awesome. Look at everybody. Wow. Got a roll call in just a second if you're new around here. John Lund Unleashed. Check us out on YouTube. Make sure that you are giving us a follow. Subscribe to us, please. That would be just outstanding if you'd please do that. Make sure you give us a like, which helps the algorithm as well. So more people find the show, which is great, and that's what we want to do. And make sure that you tell all your friends and enemies. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. If you're watching on Instagram or X, thank you so much. Instagram and X, I'm at John Lund Radio because radio is what I did for 27 years. Sports radio, sports talk all over the country. If you were new, I'm in the San Francisco Bay Area and have been since 2011, but Dallas, Detroit, Salt Lake City, Portland, all over the place over a number of years, and it is Super Bowl Friday, so we'll get into a ton of things today. You can also check out the podcast. We hit the button right after the show, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your favorite podcast. But the best and the easiest thing to do is to just go to johnlundunleashed.com, johnlundunleashed.com. In fact, let me show you before we get started, because that's where you can get everything. And I wrote the piece on Jimmy yesterday, added video late in the day, had a bunch of new stuff there. So I do think, let me see, I want to make sure that I've got the right thing. I seriously have like 50 stories up right there. So I want to make sure that I get the right one, but there you go. Will it work with Jimmy? And Jimmy met with the media yesterday. So amongst all of the discussion that we're going to have about the Super Bowl 59, who you're going to be not rooting for, but hating less on Sunday between Philly and Kansas City. There's the story of the day yesterday. Warriors swing backup deal for Butler. Will it work? And so I have a fancy video, lots of stuff for you to read about it. There's a little windy in there. Very attractive man. And a bunch of stuff that you can read. So check that out. Check out the whole page, John Lund Unleashed there. Meet your host. Latest YouTube shows. If you click there, we've got all the YouTube shows. Latest podcast. If you click there, you'll get the latest podcast. And then there's a bunch of blogs, not just those, but if you click on down here, click on Unleashed blog posts, then you got Jimmy and you got Another Hard No. We were nervous at that point. Double Trouble, which, by the way, Fred Warner addressed Myles Garrett possibly becoming a 49er on Media Row yesterday. There's Mavs ruin the NBA. So we do these probably. I said only if Jimmy's free. It wasn't exactly free, but it wasn't terrible. Sports conspiracies, which we got more and more on the Kansas City Chiefs. So anyway, if you would like, check that out. And it's very cool. And that is the website, and that makes things easy. So then you can just go to one place. So anyway, there, I'm done with all the spiels. Good morning. As Tacky says, happy effing Friday. It is here. I'm glad it's here. Yes. Morning, Hurley Bird. Let's see who else is here today. AJ Cruz. We're taking a little roll call today, 5950, which is actually 84. Let's see. Very nice. Gerard Phillips. Nice to see you, Gerard Phelps. Sorry, I said Phillips. It's Phelps. People hate having their name mispronounced, and absolutely. I think a lot of people feel this way. Sports girl for life. I think a lot of people feel that way. I wish I was more interested in the Super Bowl. I can't root for either team. I guess you sit on the couch. And I am going to talk about that today. I do have a rooting interest or a less hating interest in the Super Bowl, which I'm going to get to in a moment. It is always great to see our good friend John Holmes. Stand back. Good to see you. Speaking of George, he will give us a final from Radio Row, Media Row today. And I do have a bunch of Media Row media to show you. I could do the yells again. I could do the yells. My voice is not in a bad place today. I'll do the yell for you if you want. Hang on. It's going to take a second. I don't even think I have any water left. Hang on. So I'll explain it in a minute. Yeah, my voice is not in the greatest place. So let me move back, though. I don't want to blow you away. Yes! How about that? See, I can do it. I can do it if I want. I just get lightheaded and it takes me a couple of minutes to refocus, but I'm cool. Whatever you ask, man. I'm here for you. You know that. What else do we have today? Yeah, I did operatic style. What did you think? Did that work for you? Sometimes I'll just in the middle of it go, yeah. Just gonna do a little opera for you, man. Let's see. Let's see what else do we have today. Kyle, it was great to see you. Vernon, Jake, Gizmo is here. Joy is amazing. Good to see you. See, if I'm not sure that I've seen you before, what I'm going to do is I'd love to pop you up. Bills got robbed. In which way? They got the MVP. We got to get. Oh, you're talking about the AFC Championship game. Could be. We are going to talk about conspiracy theories and every. Victor, good to see you. Baba Booey. Good to see you. Yeah, George is. He is my son, and he looks a lot like me. Unfortunately, I'm a little crazier than he is, especially at the age of 21. I'd have asked people. I'd have went up to George. I'd have yelled stuff. I'd have probably gotten kicked out of there by now. But he's a professional, and to be completely honest, good morning, Lund loyalists. By the way, I should be saying that, but he's professional, and a lot of it is that I kept telling him be professional, and then he was like, I'm professional. And I'm like, nah. Oh, you know what, man? You must have been a fly on the wall in my house last night, Enrique, because what I wanted to do for everyone this morning, and maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll for like a second, I'll leave the show and go grab some booze inside, because I got to tell you something I had last night before we get going, and it was so good. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to make this in front of everybody today, and everybody's gonna love it. I'm more mature than me, and I'm 13 years old. Yeah, absolutely. He's more mature than me, and I'm a lot older than 13 years older than him. But yeah, he just, he wants to be professional, but it's of my own doing because I kind of taught him that way, and because he'd be around, and I'd bring him into clubhouses a lot and into places and so forth. This is, not to go on a tangent, because we need to look at the chalkboard, but just real quick, because we're here. So I took him to spring training. I wish I'd have brought these pictures up. I'll do it next week after the Super Bowl. But I took him to spring training, which was probably the coolest father-son moment I had ever had with him. And we went to 8 or 9 baseball games, and we had it totally planned out. 8 or 9 spring training games in 5 days that we went down to Arizona. And it was so incredible. The Buster Posey, say what you want about him as an executive right now, but we'll see. We had passes to the clubhouse of the Giants. Lots of teams. Kevin Youkilis was down there. It was the year the Cubs won the World Series. And so Uke was down there. So we got to check out the Cubs and the A's, and everybody's really cool to us. And we had, passes. We'd go anywhere at all the places. And we walk into the Giants clubhouse, and Buster Posey walks right over. Now, he knows me a little bit just from being a media member, but that's usually not a good thing. And he grabs George, who at the time is this floppy haired, like 11-year-old or 12-year-old or whatever the heck he was. It's like 16, 9 years later. He's 21. Yeah, he's 12. And he's got this floppy hair. And Buster Posey grabs him by the hand and goes, who do you want to meet? Walks him up to Crawford, walks him up to Belt, walks him up. Like, I'm just standing there in awe going, are you kidding me? It was cool. I mean, Buster Posey is cool. So, if nothing else. All right, let's get to everything today. Good morning. Can Philly stop the 3-Peat? That is the question. As you know, Mahomes holding the trophy. There's a little bit of Jalen in the corner there, like the devil on his shoulder. Josh Allen wins the MVP. George Kittle, lots of George Kittle talk. And as you can see in the right-hand corner there, Jimmy and Mike Dunleavy, Jimmy Butler, had a lot of things to say, and he smiled through the whole thing. He seems to be happy to be a Golden State Warrior and have that contract done. So that's some of the main things we'll be talking about today. Episode 55, as we go through the chalkboard. Butler reaction, Butler presser. The Lakers and the LeBrons over the Warriors. Luka's not even playing yet, and I don't know what. I mean, everybody got mad at Barry Bonds outside of the Bay Area because he was doing what he's doing. It's time for an investigation. I mean, my God, at the age of 40, LeBron's as good as ever. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous, whether you hate him, whether you love him, whatever. LeBron was great last night in the win. NFL honors, I'll give you the full list of winners and losers. No, it's just winners last night. NFL Hall of Very Good group going in. I don't want to disrespect anybody. Eli Manning does not make it. I thought Eli was going to make it. Belichick and his lovely young lady on the red carpet. We must talk about Kittle. Lots of Kittle. The Kittle deal was talked about. He was asked about it. Joe Montana, George Kittle, Fred Warner on Media Row. On some high-profile shows, Eric Armstead finally wins. And we must be the jinx, Papa and I, at Armstead. I will explain that because he joined us every year. He was nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year award 3 times. We had him on from Radio Row and Media Row at the Super Bowl, and he never won this award, and he did last night. It's probably on me. Maybe some good news on Matthew Stafford as far as the 49ers are concerned. My rooting reveal, and rooting is probably the wrong word, but the team I'm going to like least on Sunday, I think, if I sit down, maybe I'll change my mind because you can't. You know who you're going to root for if it's your team, but you don't if it's not, and it kind of just comes to you. Chiefs dissed. I was going to do that earlier in the week, but we had so much stuff going on. George on Bourbon Street, and no Pete Alonso's. He goes back to the Mets for 2 and 54. Man, that is a lot of stuff. I will reveal one thing before we get totally into this stuff. Is a text that George and I were talking last night. Remember how, if you're new to the show, my son is going to join us later from Media Row, and he's done a really nice job the first couple of days on Media Row and walking us around doing a walk and talk. And today will be bananas early in the day. It might be slow down, but Thursday was absolutely crazy. And he did the walk and talk, and we saw George and we saw Fred Warner and all these different guys and Debo and all these people that were, just localizing it, but tons of people on Media Row. And he takes us through to give us a little feel of things. And you and I think we're on the same page with this. We were reprimanding him because here's a 21-year-old who it took him 3 days to get to Bourbon Street, New Orleans. It's like, bro, and he's staying in the French Quarter. So he hadn't been to Bourbon Street. And I said, if you don't get to Bourbon Street, such a father figure am I. If you don't get to Bourbon Street, because they're leaving late tonight. So they're doing the show noon to 2 our time, which is what, 4 to 6 or 4 to whatever, 2 to 4 New Orleans. Sorry, 2 to 4 New Orleans. And then they're hopping a plane at like 7:30, which I told them, I go, what are you doing? Like Saturday, go Saturday. Everybody leaves on Saturday. Everybody blows out because they work so hard on Friday and you finally don't have to get up. Blow out on Saturday, but whatever. They're going out tonight late. So they did one last night on Bourbon Street. And this was the text. And I didn't hear back from him. And so here it was. He said to me, that's him in gray, obviously, Bourbon Street tonight. I said, have fun. It's epic, especially tonight. Bourbon Cowboy and Patty O'Brien's. Take some video you can show me. And I meant show us, not just me. I want to see Bourbon Street. I want to see him on Bourbon Street, and I want to show it and share it with you. So it wasn't just I want it personally. I want to share it on the show is what I meant. And then I said, ride the bull. That's Bourbon Cowboy. Get a hurricane. And then I said, be careful. They're strong. And the only reason I said that, and then at the bottom of that, it says getting a hurricane now. And you can see 8:06 p.m. That's it. I didn't hear another peep from him last night. So I don't know if the hurricane got him because he's not a huge drinker. Not a huge drinker at all. Even though he just turned 21 and I probably needed rehab. I probably need Betty Ford when I was in college. It was just, it was like, it overwhelmed me. And I didn't go to Arizona State and I didn't have Mill Avenue right there. I mean, I didn't have my class schedule up. I had the schedule of the bars. I mean, it was just unbelievable. There was a free keg on Friday. There was 2-for-1 pitchers at a pizza joint on Tuesday. I can still remember it. And that's what I care. I was like, that's what I'm caring about. So anyway, yeah, he says Bourbon Street, misspelled, Bourbon Street tonight. And then getting a hurricane now at 8:06 p.m. And then I didn't hear another peep from him the entire rest of the evening. And I've texted him this morning and have nothing. Let me just double check this. I mean, nothing. Yeah, nothing. I told him I sent him some money on Venmo, and that was the last thing. And then I sent him a thing of Eric Allen getting into the Hall of Fame because they're down there with Arizona State Radio, Blaze Radio at Arizona State, and the Cronkite School Broadcast School. And I sent him that. Normally he would hit me up because he's a big Raiders fan and Eric Allen's an ASU guy and he's going to the Hall of Fame and still nothing. Like I said, I sent him money, still nothing. Like normally your kid, you know what the trigger points are. So if you say to your kid when they're this age, hey, I sent you money, usually they at least say, hey, thank you, or there's something. So because I was trying to hit the trigger points, like, is he alive after the hurricane? Nothing, just having a hurricane now and then at 8:06 p.m. and then nada, nothing. Even though I like, hey, Eric Allen's in the Hall of Fame from Arizona State. Hey, I sent you some money. Nothing from him. So we'll see what happens. That's it, man. 8:06 p.m. Getting a hurricane now. And hello, is anybody in there? Nope, there isn't. All right, let's get to it. We'll get to the football because I got to believe that he's going to join us later. So I do try to kind of put this thing together. So the Super Bowl is probably the lead today. Hall of Fame is the lead. NFL Honors is the lead. George Kittle, Fred Warner on Media Row, and I have a bunch of stuff from them, is the lead. But I'm going to start with Jimmy Butler just because I think at some point George will get up and we're going to try to make this thing kind of morph together, if we will. So Jimmy Butler reaction, this was kind of interesting. I look at this on ESPN. And if you look at the piece I wrote on JohnLundUnleashed.com, look, I'm not saying that this is 100% going to be a slam dunk on Jimmy. I laid out in writing, and then I have the video with it, but I would encourage you to read the piece because it's not 140 characters and there's not a lot of ambiguity with it. I mean, you can tell, you can kind of see where I'm going on this thing and what the questions are, because this is by no means a slam dunk. I don't think anybody can predict the way Jimmy Butler is going to act based on what he did with the Miami Heat at the end. So I don't know what he's going to be. I'll play a couple of cuts for you in just a second that will encourage you, if you're a Warriors fan, that he's very excited to be here. But we know lots of people like this. They're very excited, and then a couple of things happen, and there's going to be questions with Draymond Green off the court. There are going to be, will Jimmy Butler, take a little bit of a backseat, because this is Steph Curry's team, and for everything Kevin Durant was, what he wasn't was secure in being kind of a Robin to a Batman, even though they were co-Batman, to be honest with you. Durant and Curry was the one who said, look, dude, I'll sit in the back. It's cool. Like, you can have shotgun. I'm totally cool with it. You can drive the damn car. I don't care. Klay Thompson was like, dude, I'm just here to shoot. Like, no big deal. Draymond Green's like, I'll do the dirty work. It's no big deal, man. This can be your team. And Kevin Durant just never really was embraced fully, because this is Steph Curry's team, Steph Curry's town, and he was never going to be that amongst fans, media, and everything else, and perceptions, and that drove him crazy, even though he should have been about ball, because that's what Kevin Durant always says. I just want to be about ball, man. And it's like, well, you were about everything but ball, to be honest, when you left the Warriors. So Jimmy Butler has Kevin Durant kind of vibes to him. So is this 100% going to work? I honestly, it's the worst thing somebody who's on an opinion-based show says, but I'm okay with it. I don't know, because only Jimmy Butler knows, and we've seen both sides of him. We've seen playoff Jimmy, who's a really good player, really focused, just wants to win, doesn't really care about anything else, becomes hyper-focused on that. And we've seen Jimmy Butler beat a complete child, an immature child, to force his way out of Miami because he didn't get the extension that he wanted. If he had gotten the extension in Miami, we wouldn't be sitting here. He'd be a member of the Miami Heat and Heat culture, and Miami's his team. He was drafted by Chicago. He was with the Bulls for a number of years, went to Tom Thibodeau in Minnesota. That was a young team that he tried to kind of play some tough love with, and that didn't work with that Minnesota team, including Andrew Wiggins. And then he went on to Philadelphia, and same kind of a thing. They had Joel Embiid. They had some guys on that team, but he really didn't function well in that environment where he wasn't clearly the guy. And then he went to Miami, and that was his team, and he led him to a couple of NBA finals, and playoff Jimmy was born, and Heat culture. And he did. So if we're getting that, if the Warriors, I should say, are getting that guy, the focus guy, playoff Jimmy guy, then yeah, they're going to be fine. If they're getting the guy that is like, hey man, this needs to be my team, and I need to be a big, all these kind of things. They've already got a team leader in Draymond Green. They've already got a floor leader in Steph Curry. He's got to be the third. I mean, that's just, can you handle that? Because Kevin Durant, while winning championships, at the end of the day, couldn't handle that at the end. And that's the reason Kevin Durant wouldn't come back. Not that we need to go back down that road, but I did write it in the piece, is that Kevin Durant did not want to come back. I said this yesterday on the show. It's kind of like when Mick and Keith couldn't get along, or Eddie and David Lee Roth, or any of these rock things through the history of time, the Gallagher brothers, who gets credit for the song, who gets credit for the band, who cares, man? No one cares. Just win. And when you win at the end of your career, and I wish these guys could have that foresight, where when you're put into the Hall of Fame like these guys were last night, it doesn't matter who gets the credit. It doesn't matter how much money you made. It just matters how much you win. That's the ultimate currency in sports, is that if you can get to that level that Curry's at, Durant's at, Butler's not at that level, and you become about your legacy and nothing more, not about money, not anything else except for how much did they win? How many rings do they have? Because I don't think about how much money Michael Jordan made. He made a boatload, but he won championships. I don't care how much Joe made, Joe Montana, who will play some cuts from Joe. He was the first $1 million quarterback back in the day. He made a ton. Joe won't go to Radio Row for less than $500,000. So people were saying 10,000. Joe's expensive because he didn't make the money that they're making now. So that's important to him. But Joe's legacy is Joe's legacy. Tom Brady, all these guys, when you start playing at that level and for those things, That's all that matters. But for some reason, and I saw this and I took it off the videos that I'm going to show you today because I just have so many, that Kevin Durant, and this was Ramona Shelburne who said it, so I'll just explain it to you rather than say it. But she was like, she was at the Sun shoot around apparently, and I guess the tension was huge just because it was like, well, what do we do now? Matt Ishbia, the owner of the Suns, was like, we thought we were going to move Durant. Durant said, absolutely not. I'm not going back. I don't want to be the bassist in the band, and he wasn't the bassist. He was the lead guitarist, but he didn't want to be overshadowed again. He wants to win a championship on what's considered to be his team on his terms. But the other T that he doesn't understand is he's got dwindling time. And I think that's going to be a problem, but he just wants to do it his way, his terms, his team, that perception, which does not matter, but that's why he's not here. He doesn't hate the Bay, he doesn't hate Steph. I don't think he hates Draymond, but he hates to think of the fact that it's not going to be considered his team in his championship. So he wants to stay away, and they're stuck in Phoenix. You don't care about that. I'm just saying. All right, so the bottom line is, will Jimmy work? I don't think I popped this up. I think it went into a tangent. There's what ESPN says. Who cares, right? Who cares what they say? Lists and opinions, and that's ESPN giving it a B minus. I don't know that I give it a B minus. It's almost an incomplete. I know that's a boring answer, but they haven't played a game. I don't know. And the factors around the Warriors and whether this trade will work out or not is, can Jimmy behave himself? Can he and Draymond coexist as, I don't know, energy guys on this team, as leaders on this team, as all those kind of things that you think about? They're both the same. So because they're both the same, are they going to be able to get along? Or are they both the same, so they're going to ram horns all the time? I don't know that. Nobody does. On the court, Jimmy Butler's used to being the guy the last number of years with the Heat. Is he cool? Like, he knows that this isn't his team offensively. He'll have plenty of opportunity to hit clutch shots and be loved and hugged and given accolades, but he's not going to get the ball all the time in clutch situations like he used to, and that's Steph Curry's job. So is he okay with that? Is he okay with this being Curry's town and Curry's team? It's not Jimmy's team, and Jimmy's probably third banana when it comes to that. Is he cool with that too? And those things shouldn't matter. They wouldn't matter to you and I because we don't have these massive egos, but these guys have been told, remember, especially in the NBA, when they're 6'2" in the 6th grade, they start to get treated special and different and like, whoa, what? And so they've got a different view of themselves. Maybe, just through experience of all these years. I think Curry, because he's had to do the type of things he's had to do, he went to Davidson and he didn't, Duke had no interest and all these different things. And so he's got proper perspective. His dad gave him proper perspective. I think that maybe Steph, I don't know. I'm not even saying maybe. Steph has different perspective. And that's why this thing can work, because he can do what he did with Durant, which is, I'm cool, man. I don't have to drive. I don't have to be shotgun. Hell, I can be in the back seat. I'm cool with it as long as we win. Like, Steph is really all about winning. And so he's cool with it. Draymond and Jimmy Butler off the floor and actually on the floor as emotional leaders of this basketball team, that's going to be an interesting one to watch. And then in terms of how many shots, how many minutes, because if they're not winning, Jimmy can turn into child Jimmy again. Spoiled, rotten, tantrum child again. We're not winning. I am not happy. Jimmy came here to win. Jimmy will take a back seat. This is what I really believe. Jimmy will take a bit, not a complete back seat. Sure, I'll sit back here. He's not going to sit in the bed of the truck. But I think Jimmy Butler is cool with pulling back a little bit, being in the back a little bit. Like, when they take the photo of the band and the front and the lead singer's up doing this, and then the lead guitarist is right here, and then the bassist is kind of fogged out a little bit, and then the drummer, we don't need really even the drummer in the picture, do we? But he's in there too, just kind of a little bit of the drummer, but it's the lead singer's in the front, and that's Steph. So if Jimmy Butler is cool with being like fogged out a little bit and kind of off to the side, then I think this is going to be fine. But if they don't win and Jimmy Butler is not having the role or is having the amount of spotlight on him that he's used to, because the Heat were clearly Jimmy Butler's team. They weren't Bam Adebayo's team. They weren't Tyler Hero's team. They were Jimmy Butler's team, and that's the way it was. So he's got to take a little bit of a backseat. And Kevin Durant, while they won 2 championships and should have had a third if he doesn't get hurt or Clay doesn't get hurt or whatever, the weirdness that happened during that 2019 run against Toronto, they could have had 3, and that didn't even make him happy enough. And now Kevin Durant's a different dude. I mean, I don't know. He just seems like the unhappiest superstar I've ever seen. He just is always in a bad mood. He's mad at somebody for taking a shot at him. He's mad for somebody like Kendrick Perkins yesterday, which it's asinine what Kendrick Perkins said. I don't know if you saw it, but Kendrick Perkins said Kevin Durant wasn't the leader of those Oklahoma City teams. James Harden wasn't the leader. Russell Westbrook wasn't the leader. I was the leader. And it was like, shut up. Like, you say stupid stuff all the time. And a lot of the things that you say are preconceived. And so that's why you stay at ESPN, because he's like, yeah, I'm sure I'm fine saying jackass stupid things, because what else am I going to do in life? So that's what he does. He's just like, tell me what to say, and I'll say it. I'll say the dumbest thing ever. But that might be the dumbest thing he ever said. And Kevin Durant saw it and said, I think he said it was the dumbest thing this month or something like that. But it's one of the dumbest things he's ever said. And what's funny is, would you take credit for being the leader on a team that never won anything? I mean, they didn't win a title with Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. And at that point, they were all really, really good. Westbrook was the height of his game, height of his powers. So that was a good team. Throw in Serge Ibaka, remember that? I mean, that was a damn good team before they broke it up because they didn't have enough money. And Kendrick Perkins is staking claim as the leader of a team that had that much talent and didn't win. It's like, first of all, you're full of it. Second of all, they didn't win anything. Like, if Draymond Green came out and said the leader wasn't Steph Curry, the leader was me. Now it's debatable. We don't know. We weren't in there. I mean, I understand that Draymond is the emotional leader of the team, but Steph gets most of the credit. But that's a fight because you won all those titles. Now it's everybody. We know what the answer is really to everything in life. It's not normally just one person. It's a combination of things. But then whoever's the loudest and the most boisterous gets credit. Well, that guy did it all. No, he didn't. Patrick Mahomes is really, really good. When we start talking about the Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes is really, 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 really good. He can't do it without an offensive line, Kelsey, a running game. They don't win last year against the Niners without a defense. For early in his career, it was all about the offense. Now it's the defense is not carrying Patrick Mahomes, but his numbers aren't what they've been. So anyway, let's get it back to Butler reaction of B- by ESPN. And then here is some Jimmy Butler. Let me play some of this for you last night. So here is Jimmy, just happy to be back talking and ready to play basketball.
For myself, I'm so happy to be playing basketball again, honestly. But for an organization like this one, with some hellified talent that we have, I'm glad that I get the opportunity to get here and help get us to winning and do something special. I think that's why I'm here, and I will do my best to do what everybody wants, and that's to win a championship. I mean it.
All right, so that's good, Jimmy, right? You get excited. You see that kind of a thing, and you're like, oh, what happened to the guy in Miami? This guy, how did Miami trade this guy? It seems like the coolest guy ever, and he's smiling, he's happy, and he said championship. Woo! Like there was I think it was like a phone video kind of a thing. He's like, let's get it. Let's win a championship. And that's all everybody retweeted and everybody, well, he said championship. You see, he said championship. We're going to win a championship. I was like, we need to slow down. But that was nice, Jimmy. And as long as they're winning, he's going to be nice, Jimmy. That's the guy I think they think they're getting. And I think that, he was really happy at this press conference if you didn't see it. And I've got a couple of cuts from it. But he's giddy. He's happy. And he's happy because he got a bunch of money. He does have an opportunity to win. I don't know what went down with Miami. That's not normally a team that you're just, I got to get out of South Beach, no state income tax, my team. Where it comes down from is, again, this happened in the offseason. Jimmy, we're not giving you an extension going into the season. And he's like, okay, I'm going to turn it, you watch. I'm going to turn into super jerk. And so that's not the guy we saw last night. He was not super jerk at all. He was Jimmy Giddy Jimmy. Giddy Jimmy is what he was last night in the press conference. Anybody who would ask, he had a big smile for every question. And what's the next one? Butler on. And now this is what's funny. This is when people lie straight through their teeth, because Jimmy Butler's not a member of the Warriors. I know this for a fact. Jimmy Butler is not a member of the Warriors without an extension. So he was asked by Anthony Slater, how much did the contract extension have with you being here?
I'm not getting suspended no more.
Oh, wait a minute. Come on now. Hang on. Here we go.
You signed and the fact that it lines up with Steph.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that was a big part, but I'm happy about it. I am happy about it. I think the biggest part was just getting me to be able to play basketball again. I just want to be able to go out there and do what I've been doing for a very long time and have fun and smile and rip and run and not feel like I'm just doing cardio majority of the game. So I'm very, very, very happy that I'm not getting suspended no more.
We'll see, Jimmy. We'll see. He very quickly got off the contract, but as I told you, he's not here without the contract extension. Some reporting it as 2 years, 112, 2 years, 121, whatever the case may be. It doesn't really matter. For you and I, we'd be doing cartwheels all over the place. And you can tell Jimmy's got a big smile on his face, but it's a big smile on his face because of everything. It's the money, it's the situation, it's playing with Steph and Draymond. And Steph flat out said that he doesn't really know Jimmy all that well. I haven't really heard Draymond say anything. And Steve Kerr said he had never even talked to him. I mean, that's very strange given that Butler's so good and Kerr's been around so long. And you would think they would cross paths or during a game. And I know he's in the Eastern Conference, so they don't play a lot. But, with Team USA, and not only did Kerr run it this year, but he'd been an assistant in the past. And so I would have thought that they would cross paths and talk. But Steve Kerr the other night said, I've never even talked to the guy. So that's kind of interesting. So again, as just like the first one, you can see the giddiness in Jimmy and the smile in Jimmy, and that's great. And I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt right now. I don't know about you, but you know what? That was cool. And it's not about winning press conferences. Too many teams are worried about winning press conferences versus actually playing basketball. So they won the press conference. Jimmy was smiling and Jimmy was happy, and you can tell, and he's excited. And he was asked about Steph and Draymond, and the thing he said about those two guys, he said, the reason I'm happy to play with those guys is they do everything they can to win. Jimmy Butler is about winning. I will give him that. He plays really hard. He expects a lot out of his teammates, and therein potentially lies the problem, because so does Draymond Green. And if I'm Steve Kerr, honestly, I do have to sit down with both guys in a room, just the three of us, and say, look, fellas, we all want to do the same thing here. I understand your emotions, and I understand the way you both play the game, but it can't turn into a negative where we're yelling at each other, we're getting after officials, or screaming at young guys. All these kind of things. We kind of have a pecking order here. Jimmy, I love you, but if you can let off the gas a little, and I don't mean in terms of the way you play, because we hear Draymond say it all the time. It's the way I play. It's the way I play. It's the way I play. I don't necessarily always buy that, but okay, whatever. And Jimmy Butler, I'm sure, is going to be the same way. I play pedal to the metal basketball. I'm totally cool with that. I really am. But the one thing I would say if I was Steve Kerr is, you got to let me coach. I know how to coach these guys. I know, because we're all the same now. It used to be back in the day when it came to sports, it was just screaming, yelling, pounding the fist. Don Nelson did it. I mean, go back to Vince Lombardi. Gruden did it. F-bomb here, F-bomb there. Rex Ryan, when you saw him on Hard Knocks, F-bomb and every other word. Like, that was the old school way to coach. That's just what it was. You scream and you yell. And the one that comes to mind the best where you went, oh, okay, coaching has changed. And you know this. Klay Thompson, he was either a rookie or a second-year guy, and it was in Dallas, and they got an offensive rebound, and you just pull the ball out. I can't remember if it was the end of the game and they would have won it or something, but the ball gets, offensive rebound. You want to waste the clock. Warriors are up, and they kick it outside, and Klay jacks a three, and it's like Don Nelson would have went through the roof. Jerry Sloan, any of these old school coaches would have seriously would have grabbed the kid by the arm, and in front of the entire crowd and TV audience would have screamed and yelled red face to face with that guy. And maybe that player wouldn't have done it again, but nowadays that player would have sulked, and you might have lost him mentally and all these kind of things. And Mark Jackson didn't. And I remember watching the game going, why isn't he going crazy on Klay Thompson? And it was just at that moment, it clicked into my head. And I'm sure you remember the incident. It clicked into my head. It's not the way it's done anymore. So what I would do if I was Steve Kerr is, guys, play your way, be emotional, do your thing, whatever. Let's try to stay away from the rest if we can. Let's try to keep our cool when we can. I love the energy. All that's good, but it can turn into a negative if you're screaming at Jonathan Kuminga, who really isn't down with that. Or, let me handle the coaching portion of it. Yeah, put your arm around a guy, cool. But constantly berating guys is just not the way to do it. So, look, I don't know Jimmy Butler well enough to know if that is his style. But we've already got a guy who does that. So I don't know that we need two guys who do that. Sometimes you need to put your arm around it. So just let me, especially to Jimmy Butler, let me explain to you which thing works best with each player, because everybody nowadays is different. To get the best out of every player, some guys need to be coddled. Some guys need to be screamed at. Some guys just need to be left to their own devices, because they know you don't have to tell them what they just screwed up and did wrong. And there's some young players that you want to get the best out of, right? You want to get the best out of Kuminga. You want to get the best out of Podziemski. You want to get the best out of TJD. You've got young guys on this team. There's the old guys now, the big three for the Warriors. And there's a bunch of young guys for the Warriors. And they've got to get the best out of those guys if they're going to go anywhere. I mean, it's all well and good that Steph, Dre, and Jimmy Butler are the big three on this team. And it's fine. They can lead. And Steve Kerr is not telling them not to lead, but he is saying, let me coach the team sometimes. I got it. Because to me, as we look at whether this is going to be successful or not, yeah, most of it's going to be on the court. That's where the games are played. And the bottom line is wins and losses and championships, as Jimmy Butler said. But in order to get there, chemistry matters. Chemistry damn well matters. And that's the biggest issue to me. Can Jimmy Butler play? Yeah, I know he's 35. He can play. Draymond can still play. Obviously, Curry can still play. But it's good to me, if we're going to say, how will this work or not? It's you throw it all in the stew, you stir it around, and you give it a taste, and you see what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Interesting to me. All right, before we go over to L.A., over Golden State, we just did about 36 minutes on Jimmy, press conferences, all that kind of stuff. Give me your thoughts. Will it work? Before we get to all the Super Bowl talk, and there's tons of it, will it work with Jimmy Butler? What is your thought on that? I think it's going to, because I think this is a good enough organization. I think it could eventually end up like Kevin Durant, where Jimmy Butler's like, man, but it's only a 2-year experiment. This is why I think it's another positive. This isn't a long-term marriage. Yes, I do. I mean, they said I do to a certain extent, but this is more like even though they did give him a bunch of money, this isn't really I do. This isn't really marriage. This is kind of we're living together and this is cool and everything, and let's not put a label on it kind of a thing. This is not like we're getting married, we're having kids, we're moving to the suburbs, we're getting a white picket fence. This is really I've been divorced twice, and this is cool, man. Let's not put too much pressure on each other. We're divorced. The guy's paying, his ex-wife and another ex-wife, and maybe the wife has a crazy ex-husband, and they're just dealing with it. It's like, it's cool, man. Let's just not label this and be cool and live together, and it's all good. But we've both been divorced a couple times. We're both kind of hurt a little bit. We're both a little apprehensive. So let's just chill. This isn't like, oh, we're getting married, going to the chapel. I mean, it's not 10 years of something. I think that makes sense. I think that worked. What do you think? No? Yes? No? All right. Good to see Rick. Rick, I don't know if I've seen you before. I like to acknowledge everybody that is new in the room. Mike, it's good to see you as well. I have not looked at the chat for a moment, so I do not know in context what we're talking about today. But and the people who are regulars around here know that I'll catch up at some point. Let's see. What else are we talking about today? All right. I think that's good. I do want to get your thoughts, though. Oh, this is an interesting one. We will get into the Super Bowl, but Hurley Bird flew running through the Philly locker room and Jalen Hurts. Absolutely. We'll get into the NFL and we'll get some talk on that. But if you're new in the room and if you're new to the show, John Lund Unleashed, thank you for joining us. We're about 38 minutes into the show on a Friday, and love that it's Super Bowl Friday. Episode 55, Butler reaction. Butler presser we've played for you. We have not gone to LA over Golden State. Let me see where Young Sun is, because I'm seeing that I have some new text messages. No, nothing from him. All right. Just want to make sure at some point. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hang on one second. He just texted me. He's alive. All right, there, we're caught up. So when he tells me when he can come on, then we can get a better gauge for the show. But believe me, we're going to do a ton of Super Bowl stuff today. We're just getting started. As far as LeBron is concerned, I know. I don't want to give too many accolades to LeBron, because I am going to give a little bit of accolades to the Chiefs in a little bit. But last night, LeBron goes for over 40. He's the oldest. Is he the oldest, or was Jordan? I think he's the oldest now to go over 40 in a game. He's 40 years old, 42 points, 17 rebounds, 8 assists on 14 of 25, 120 to 112 over the Golden State Warriors. So 0-2. We're excited about this trade deadline thing, but all of a sudden they lose to the Jazz and the Lakers in back-to-back nights, and it's like, can Jimmy get here as soon as possible? I don't want to lapdog on LeBron James, and I never have in my career. But I've covered a lot of games up close. He's an amazing player. He doesn't have the, I don't know, he tried to be the villain for a while like Kobe Bryant was. He couldn't pull that off. He doesn't have the love that Michael Jordan has. He couldn't pull that off, although he's done nothing wrong. So separating the player off the court that some people don't like to the player that's on the court, I just don't know what else to say in a positive sense to a guy who's 40 years old and just absolutely crushed the Warriors last night. He can still get to the rim at will. 17 rebounds. He's still physical. A lot of these players, as they get older, and I covered a lot of these players, a guy like Karl Malone was just he was a physical specimen. I mean, he was ridiculous. It was muscle upon muscle upon muscle, and he was about 6'9", 260 is what they listed him at. But later on in his career, he just did not want the physicality anymore, and it didn't make him worse. It just changed his game. And so the only reason I bring him up is because I covered those teams on the beat, and he would shoot baseline jumpers more. He would, he would get on the break and put his knee up and hit you right in the mouth with his knee. He would still do those kind of things in the break on like a, the pass from Stockton at the last second. But in terms of the half court offense, he just wasn't going to be a bull in the china shop. Think of Zion Williamson, but a guy who was in so much better shape. I mean, you couldn't get in his way. He was just like a Mack truck inside, and he was badass. And as he got older in his career, he didn't want to do that anymore. Jump shots, got really good, in the mid range with his jumpers right off the key to the left or to the right. He was devastating baseline jumpers. He was really good turnaround baselines, great around the rim, those kind of things. But he didn't force it as much as he got older in his career. But you look at LeBron, and he still does that. Now, he doesn't do it as much. And yeah, he rests on the defensive end of the court. And a lot of times the Lakers, which is smart at the age of 40, will put him on the least effective offensive player on the other team. Some of it is, yeah, he's 40 and let's not run him into the ground right now. But some of it also is he's actually better as a help defender a lot of times. Gets his hands in passing lanes, block shots, does things like that. He's not the athlete he used to be, but he's still damn athletic and he's in really good shape. So for him to go 42-17 against the Warriors in a win last night, I get it. You don't like him. But in this show, we have to acknowledge greatness, right? I mean, I'm not going to go full homer. I can't. That's just not how I am. So if you're looking for a full homer show, and anybody who's regular around here, I just can't do that. I want to be honest with you. I want to, I don't want to sit there and blow smoke up your ass because I think that's disrespectful to you, to be honest. So even though people don't want to hear something, when a guy goes for 42-17, like he did last night against the Warriors, whether that's your team or not, you have to acknowledge that 42-17-8 on 14-25. And I've always been, and I really don't care. I don't care who's on Mount Rushmores. I don't care who's the greatest. I think it's really difficult to compare eras. Rules change, but it's fun fodder and talk, so I get it. I will always think that Jordan's the best player because that's who I saw, and I covered those teams, and I covered that era, and that's who I think. But if you wanted to tell me LeBron at this point, I wouldn't have much of an argument against you because he's played for so long and so effectively. It's one thing to play long, where guys will play forever, and you're like, damn, that guy's still playing. He's not dropping off. He's playing at such a level. He and Steph's dropped off a little. LeBron can't do it. And it's more because of age. They can't do it as long. So, and they won't do it as consistently, or they'll take a day off here or there where they didn't used to have to. That's the difference. But last night, he just dominated the game, and Luka's not playing yet. And that's what's scary. And Mark Williams, the center they got from Charlotte's not playing yet. So I'm not here to lapdog the Lakers. But you have to acknowledge that LeBron last night was out of this world against the Lakers, against the Warriors at the age of 40. I mean, it was just like, geez, man, just crazy. So anyway, I do want to make sure that I acknowledge that fact without telling you that, look, I'm not the biggest fan, and I don't like the crown stuff and all the other things that he does off the court. But you can't deny the fact that it's just ridiculous. You often will send me if you're new to the program, and I forgot to put random on there today because I ran out of space because there's so much going on today. Random means that I get, and I usually put it on the chalkboard there to the right, but what I usually do is I get distracted and I want to talk about something that I see on the board. So Jackie says, John got a new phone. I got a story for you. So real quick, and then I'll get back to where are we on the board. Episode 55, Butler reaction, Butler presser. We played that. LA over Golden State, LeBron. So we're almost out of basketball talk today, and we should be. Let me see where. So he hasn't texted me back yet. But in terms of the phone yesterday, so if you weren't with us yesterday, what I did was right before the show, and it was just because there was technical difficulties. So there's all sorts of stuff in this room that you don't see. I got all sorts of computers and iPads and a big computer in front of me and TVs, and if I say the show is going to start at 8 or 8:05. And it starts at 8:15. It pisses me off and it pisses you off, and I don't want to let you down. But most of the time, I'm putting things into the system. I'm trying to make the show better. I'm not just sitting back. Where's my coffee? Oh, my coffee's cold. But I'm not just sitting back with a cup of coffee, pouring Bailey's in it, going, let them wait. Let them wait. Hell with them. They got nothing better to do. Because no one wants to sit in a doctor's office. If my appointment at the doctor's office is at 2:30, I want it to be at 2:30. 2:31, 2:32, 2:34. Okay, I get it. You're busy. You're a doctor. You're more important than me. No, you're not. But, my time is valuable. So, be here. Be here on time. So, today I said 8:05. We were here at 8:11, and it was only because of stuff. So, yesterday it was just things were compounding and maybe a couple of days that weren't great. And so, I forget I have hardwood floors in here. And I just I don't know, something wasn't working, and I'm not an emotional person. I'm generally pretty laid back, and I threw it on the floor. Like, I didn't think I threw it that hard. Thing just shattered. So I go into the place yesterday, and I stand in line for a bit. And those places tend to be younger people, and they don't have like the sense of urgency that the person who needs to get their phone back ASAP has. And so they say to me, well, there's one of two things we can do. And I know what they are. We can either fix your phone or the latest, the greatest in Patrick Mahomes. Ooh, this one's got AI. It's like, my phone's already got AI. Like, you don't need to sell me on that. So I told you this yesterday. I'm not one of those people who needs the latest and greatest phone. I got a good phone. It works fine. Why would I need to spend money? So anyway, the young guy says to me, and I know what's coming, man. This isn't my first rodeo, bro. I've been in phone shops. I know what you're going to do. You're going to try to upsell me. I understand. But I told you yesterday, my card got hacked. The hackers must be ahead of us, because every 3 months or something, one of my cards gets hacked. I got, like anybody, I got a debit card, a couple of credit cards, whatever. They always get hacked. I'm like, what is this? And so yesterday I got to go to my branch and say what's going on. They didn't give me really a lot of love or satisfaction. So I'm kind of in a pissy mood, but my card's working again. So then I go to the shop, and the guy tries to upsell me. And I said, look, man, no offense, love you, but I got to get a phone back ASAP. Like everybody, it's kind of your life. It turns into, you have to have it, or you can't communicate or work or do anything like that. So look, I just need my phone. Yeah, I don't need the latest. I don't need the Patrick Mahomes 16. I don't need AI. I don't need, this, that, and the other. I just said, look, I just want to, because I know I have insurance on it. So can I just get the insurance thing done? And he's like, sure. And because I'm not going to make him any money, and I get it, I'm not going to make him any money, and everybody's got to make a living. I totally understand it. So then he takes me off to some wacko phone to call the insurance place, but the speaker is on. So like, they're asking for my credit card and my information and all this personal information over a phone. And so I go over to the guy and I go, look, there's probably 10 people in this store. And I said, look, I understand. I just went to my bank because I just got hacked. So I don't necessarily want to give all this information out publicly as she's asking me questions about, and I'm on your store speakerphone. I said, is there any way to do this like via computer, or can I actually take this off speaker so I can, go into the back room or something and give, here's my number, so that I'm not doing this publicly. I mean, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done, giving my information out publicly, my address, my social security number, my credit card number. It's like, can I just get a bullhorn? Excuse me, everyone. If you would like to hack me, I think there's a commercial like that. Here is my vital information. Like, I'm giving out literally every piece of information that I have: my address, my name, my number, my social security number, my credit card number, publicly. And this kid finds no issue with that. He's like, nah, man, this is what we got. So finally I just said, look, I said, you have a website or something? I'll go home and do all this stuff. And so I get home, I walk in the door, and my wife says, and she's always in a great mood. She's one of those people, positive, just can find the positive in everything. And I'm generally like that. So I walk in the door, I slam the door, I walk just straight towards the studio, don't want to talk to anybody, I'm in a crappy mood. And she goes, did you get everything fixed? I snap back. And so I probably owe her dinner tonight. No! And I slammed the door. I walk out to the studio, and I felt really bad for it. I was like, oh, no, you just can't do that to your wife. Like, she's just trying to be nice and pep me up for the day. And I was just, because I got nothing done. And so literally, because I got stuff to do on the show, we do a bunch of post-production things. And so, and everything, I got a bunch of stuff to do. And anyway, it ended up getting worked out. I reconnected on the website, not after they say, put in your whatever number, like the number for your claim. I put it in like 55 times. Finally, I had to go to a chat person and said, hi. And I tried to calm down and be cool with them. And I said, hi, I've got a problem here. And I'm trying to just put in my payment information so that I can get my phone and, my insured phone sent to me, or whatever the case may be. And this is hilarious. And not at the time it wasn't, but it will be for you. So I have the number. I have it. And all you got to do is put in that number, and it's supposed to spit out, and it says, you got to put in a zip code. And I said, okay, I put in the number, put in the zip code. I can't get it. So then I go to the chat, and I said, hi, I'm having an issue. I can't get this thing to pull up. All I need to do is pay for it. And of course they need to go through everything again and get all your information again. And then last thing, so it still won't work. And I said, there's only two questions here. There's the confirmation number, which is correct because I have it in an email. And there's the zip code. What's going on with the zip code? They have an address for me that is got to be 8 to 10 years old. Like, I'm like, I didn't even know I was with you for 10 years or 8 years or whatever it is. I'm like, this zip code is not even near right. And so anyway, we get that worked out. But the thing that was the funniest was the ways that they can get. She's like, you can either answer a few questions or I can send you a text. And so I answer all the questions and that still doesn't work. And she goes, well, I can send you a text. And finally I lost it again. And in all caps with about 19 exclamation points, I say, you can't send me a text because I don't have a phone. And then anyway, we got it worked out. That's enough of that story. Well, we can send you a text or we can call you. And I'm like, the very reason that I'm on this little chat with you is I don't have a phone. So you can't text me and you can't call me. What else you got? So we got it done. Oh, it's classic. Classic. Oh man, there you go. So that was fun. That was fun. Very fun. All right, we are done with basketball unless you have some questions. Again, if you missed the beginning of the show, episode 55, Butler reaction. Butler presser, we played a couple of cuts. He was giddy Jimmy. He's very happy to be here. Will that last? We shall see. I don't know if you're going to, if the question for me today is, will it work with Jimmy? I don't know. They haven't played a game. There are a lot of questions, but I think they'll be fine, but we shall see. We'll just say that. The bigger the company, the worse the support is, even though you would think the other way, like you should hire the best people and everything. And there are some exceptions to that rule. There's no doubt about it. But a lot of companies are so big and so successful. They're like, what are you going to do? Threaten them? I will leave your product. Whatever, dude. There's like 50 billion behind you. We're cool. Don't worry about it. All right. LA over Golden State, LeBron. Let's get to NFL honors. Let's do that. And I am in a tremendous mood, by the way. All those, that stuff's water under the bridge now. I feel tremendous. So the big story, obviously, as we put up the cover of the show today, can Philly stop the 3-Peat? So there's a lot of stuff last night that happened, which is all to do with a bunch of football. So let's get down to that kind of stuff. LeBron already played. Oh, let's start with this. Am I starting with NFL honors? Yeah, it said LeBron and NFL honors. Can we start with this? And I'm not judging anybody, and good for you, Bill Belichick. But before we get into who won what award inside the building and who's going to the Hall of Fame inside the building last night and what kind of job Snoop Dogg did and all that kind of stuff as the host, unbelievable. I mean, Bill Belichick's girlfriend, I'm not being sexist when I say this. I mean, I don't get it. Guys can't do that. I mean, his hair is all windblown, I'm sure. I mean, he looks like a waiter at a fancy restaurant. I mean, it's not like he's dressed well. I mean, if I were her, it's like, dude, what are you dressing like? Like, what are you, a maitre d'? Like, come on, man. Like, if I'm going to be with you, I need a fitted suit. I need you to be in better shape. I need you to do something with that hair, like get a haircut. Like, if it's going, man, let's cut it real short. Like, I got to be with you. Get yourself a little vitamin D. Maybe go to the tanning booth, something. Those pants are all wrinkled and baggy. I mean, you're worth millions. And you just got paid a ton at North Carolina. You can't get yourself a stylist. I mean, look at her. It looks like that's photoshopped. It looks like it's her grandpa. Like some guys last night at NFL Honors, they brought their moms. It was really cool. Like she brought her dad, and he doesn't dress well. And he looks like he's, making, nothing outside of those rings. That's the only giveaway that he's Bill Belichick. And she actually gave her one. Look at her left hand. That's not an engagement ring. That's a Super Bowl ring. She's like, let's get engaged. She's like, here's a Super Bowl ring. Pipe down. Grandpa's tired. Here, just take a Super Bowl ring and leave me alone. But come on, man. Like, you have that woman on your arm. Congratulations, all that kind of stuff. She's very beautiful. She's stunning, actually, in what she's wearing last night. She looks like a supermodel there. I mean, either she's Ozempic'd out or she's at the gym 24/7, 365. You need to get there. I mean, the stomach's not looking good. Those pants are wrinkly. Those shoes, that tie, that maitre d' outfit you got going on. I mean, that looks like something like you have to wear to go to work to be the maitre d'. And then I know it's probably windy in New Orleans, but I'm sorry, man. Personal appearances normally aren't show fodder. I understand that. I've said that to you a million times, so I'm breaking one of my cardinal rules. Speaking of cardinal, is that the color of that jacket? Lord. I mean, that's just fashion faux pas, man. That's what when you have a girl like that, come on. She's got to stop him and go, Bill. And that happens a lot of times with men. Like you're with a very beautiful woman who's very, very stylish. She whips you into shape. Like, she's like, come on, man, we can't have this. You got to look better. You got to try harder. You got to get a bit of a haircut. You got to get some tan. You got to get some bro glow. I mean, I don't know. You cannot, that doesn't even go together. What is that? Like gray pants, black shoes. Is that a gray or a blue navy tie? with that red maitre d' color jacket. That's not your color, bro. You got to get a stylist and get your colors together. That's horrible. I mean, I'm sorry. Like I said, I should not be taking shots at the old guy. And a lot of respect for Bill Belichick, the coach, and all that kind of stuff. But love of God, man, look at her. Like, that looks photoshopped. That does not look real. And that looks like his granddaughter. I mean, we haven't gotten to the point where it's like, man, if you're her parents, it's like, look, I love that it's Bill. Like, the dad's probably like, you're dating Bill Belichick? That's awesome. The mom's probably like, you can do better. Come on. I mean, money's money. I mean, that tells you right there, money is a powerful aphrodisiac, because she's not even near Bill Belichick. If that's like Bill Belichick, Target manager, which he looks like right there. He looks like an executive for Target or something. Like, if he's executive at Target making, still it's a good amount of money, but like, let's say he's making $500,000 at Target as an executive, which is the way he's dressed like. She's not with him. There's no way. He's Bill Belichick with like 80 million in the bank or whatever it is. I mean, man, I'm sorry. That's unfair, and I shouldn't have gone on that tangent, but I saw that last night, especially from that angle and what she's wearing and everything, and I looked at him, and I just went, these two, they don't match, like Sesame Street. There's 4 boxes. He's like the 4th box, where it's like, that does not match. That's the one you throw out. You got to try harder. Like, she's beautiful. That's a short-term temporary arrangement. Gotta be. Lord. I mean, can you imagine? I don't mean to go here either, but man, the lights are out, if you know what I mean. Like, lights on, lights off, lights on, lights off, lights off, and a blindfold, and like 6 or 8 martinis. Like, come on, bro. I don't want to see anything. No light of day. Make this like as dark as the darkest hotel room. You know those blackout curtains? Their whole house has blackout curtains just in case. Like, if something, if some whoopee is going to be happening, like not the dating game, the newlywed game, like, hey, we're going to have some whoopee. It's like, she's got to have a thing in her hand that makes the entire house blackout curtain shut and all the lights go out, or something like, something that turns off all the electricity and closes the curtains and makes the whole house blackout, and automatically has one of those Tesla robots from Elon that brings her a tray of 5 martinis. I mean, my goodness, that's wrong. I shouldn't have said any of that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but it's like, dude, try harder. Don't you think? I mean, if you were with a lovely lady like that, and I know that money has a lot to do with it, maybe everything to do with it, but still, I mean, if you're Bill Belichick, I guess you're just like, look, man, I'm rich. I don't care. It's kind of like DiCaprio, right? He has all those models, and he's got the dad bod of dad bods, and he's like, I'm Leonardo DiCaprio, I'm the man, and I don't want to be in shape. I want to have a dad bod, and I got a bunch of money, and we're going to be on an island, and we're going to be on a big boat, and we're going to be on so he just takes them all over the place and is on a big boat and has lots of money, and he's like, look, I'm just going to go dad bod. And I understand Belichick's like, what, 72, 73? But man, if you were lucky enough to have that girl on your arm like he was last night at NFL Honors, my goodness. Oh, you know what? And I didn't load the Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg did a Belichick joke last night. I knew it was hilarious. But what's funny about, and then I'll move on. You know what's funny about these shows, any of these shows, and Nikki Glaser, I know we said this a little while ago. Nikki Glaser, I'd have her host everything. And because she's such a great comedian, she's so funny. And you have to, because nowadays we are so PC that if you say a joke about somebody who gets mad, like they have the roast to Tom Brady that you and I have talked about many times. And, people have to apologize for it. It's like, they're just having fun, man. Like, I get it. There are some things you shouldn't say. I understand all those kind of things. But generally speaking, comedy's supposed to be funny. There's a place for comedy in the world, and they're just having fun. So just, honestly, if you go to a comedy club anymore, they make you put your phone in like a basket, or put it away, or do something like that. They don't want you, because you take something out of context, you post it on social media, and then that comedian gets in trouble. And it's like, I remember one time, this is going to age me, but years and years ago, Bob Saget, rest in peace, came onto our show when this started happening, and he was in studio, and we were talking to him, and I asked him point blank, I said, is it hard being a comedian these days? And he's like, absolutely. He's like, people take things out of context. They got their phone, and they take like 8 seconds or 10 seconds of a clip, and it makes me look like a jerk or a racist or something like that. And all of a sudden it's like, that now I'm in trouble, and the PC police are after me and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, I tell people they can't have a phone. They can't have a phone. And it's not that I'm trying to offend. It's just like, a lot of material is funny, and you're saying stuff off the cuff, and all of a sudden now you're, people are angry with you. And it's like, you can't be funny. So Snoop's trying to be funny, and I don't know. He was okay last night. He was no Nikki Glazer, but he was okay. Like, he makes the Belichick girlfriend joke. I mean, that's low-hanging fruit. He's got to make that joke. Like, you're not saying anything about Belichick because he's such NFL royalty, even though he's at North Carolina and no one would hire him as a coach. But he's such NFL royalty that you can't even make a joke about his girlfriend that's like 50 years younger, and she's wearing this tiny little thing while he looks like a maitre d' at Olive Garden. Like, come on, man. Like, that's funny. Like, you have to say that. You have to make that joke. And like, there are people going, it's like, come on, can we not laugh anymore? Like, put in, the old Batman, like, put some, like, some weed through that theater or something. Lighten everybody up. Laugh at some jokes. Yeesh. That was funny. All right, that's it. No, I mean, that's what I mean is like, that's just crazy, right? There's just no way. Like, the thing is, she's really pretty, and I'm not saying Belichick's wrong or right, or I'm not making any. I mean, I think it's creepy. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's creepy. I think it's super creepy. And if my daughter dated Bill Belichick, I would think in one sense, oh, that's really cool. I'd love to talk some football with Bill at Thanksgiving. That's going to be fun. But in another sense, it's like, she's 24 or something like that. In another sense, I'm like, that is creepy that Bill Belichick has his hand with the Super Bowl rings, the left hand, as you can see, on my daughter's like rear end region around the hip. And it's like, I don't like that. That's creepy to me. That wouldn't be me. Now, maybe she's an old soul. That's what I've heard about her. She's an old soul. She's an old soul. They have a lot to talk about. They have a lot in common. I'm like, I don't think they do. I don't think they do. I mean, my son's 21, so I'm like 30 years older than my son. And even though, things are great and we're cool and everything, there are things that are like, I have no clue what he's talking about. And he has no clue what I'm talking about. And we're about 30 years apart. Bill Belichick and this girl are nearly 50 years. They're 50 years. He's 72, 73. She's like 24. Like, what in the what? I mean, I'm sure they have conversations sometimes where she's like, what are you talking about? So anyway, all right, I'm over that. Boy, that was way too long of a tangent on that. Would I go on that 15, 20 minutes? Yeesh. Sorry. They were mostly personal shots, which I say that I won't do. Okay. Last time. Lord. Come on, man. All right. Let's go to this part of the show. I apologize. I really do. I apologize. All right, here's where we are on the chalkboard NFL honors, and I want to get to this is what I was supposed to get to before I get on that rant. So here are your winners from NFL honors. Josh Allen is your MVP. I don't have an issue with it. I know that a lot of people were complaining that it was Lamar Jackson, but I told you this weeks ago that we just don't, as a media, like to give it to the same guy over and over and over and over and over again. So a lot of people would have liked to have given it to Patrick Mahomes because he's so good, but he didn't have a great year statistically. It might have been the year to give it to Saquon Barkley, who is so great. But what's happened is that the MVP is always a quarterback, and the offensive player of the year is whoever was really great amongst a receiver or a running back. This year was Saquon Barkley, as you can see there, which we'll get to. So Josh Allen's the MVP. We can discuss. Really cool that Eric Armstead is the Walter Payton Man of the Year award winner. So the last few Super Bowls, obviously not last year, but we had Armstead on, I know, from Arizona a couple other times, and he's a tremendous guy. Say whatever you want about him as a Niner, whatever, got hurt or did that. I don't think a lot of people have bad things to say about Eric Armstead, but he had been nominated a few times for that award, and so he does tremendous work in the community, especially up in Sacramento, but he just does it everywhere. During the pandemic, he was doing all sorts of stuff. He does stuff with underprivileged, with feeding the hungry, with students. I mean, he just does an amazing job. And so he was finally recognized, but it was as a member of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, it's not that he's recognized with a certain team, but the irony is Greg and I, Papa and I, always laugh at things because we jinx guys. And so it's like Armstead would never win it the year that we had him on, because what happens is they go on Radio Row on a Thursday and they do a tour. And we'd add him on. We'd always have him on the day of the night of the awards, so a Thursday for the Thursday night NFL honors. And we would always be like, "Oh, good luck, Eric. You're going to win it this time. We feel it in our bones. You're going to win." And then he never did. And so that was really cool that he did win. Patrick Surtain is the defensive player of the year, and you often don't get a corner. A lot of times it's a guy who's got tons of sacks, an edge guy or something like that, or a dominant defensive tackle. So you don't often see that. So there's Patrick Surtain of the Broncos, and I'm cool with that one. Kevin O'Connell was the coach. The cool part about that was Belichick actually announced the winner, and he was a third-round pick of the Patriots and Belichick, I think, in 2008. And so Belichick talked about that. Jared Verse, no problem. Defensive Rookie of the Year for the Rams. He was dominant, especially in that game they lost to Philly. I mean, that's ballsy. He goes out there and basically calls out the fans, says he hates Philly, says he hates the Philly fans, and then just rocks the game. They lost, but he was awesome. No question, Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year. The comeback player is weird. I think they should actually do away with it. Joe Burrow came back from an injury. Lots of guys do that. Sam Darnold, to me, was probably the guy, although, again, you got to look at the criterion for all this kind of stuff. I mean, what did Sam Darnold come back from? He was never good. So, yeah, come back means that you actually were good at one point and then something happened and then he came back. But give it to him. Jaden Daniels, no question, Rookie of the Year. Josh Allen, the Art Rooney. George Kittle, salute to service, which is really cool. Anybody who knows George, you watch him on the field. I remember when he was a rookie. I was standing just outside the tunnel, and we didn't know anything about George Kittle, and it was during a preseason game. And so it was actually Krug and I, because we were going to do a stand-up video thing before that became such a big thing on the field. So we were, and it might have been like week 1 or something, because we wouldn't have done that for preseason. So we walked down there, and we're standing just outside of the tunnel, of the Niners tunnel, and we're just to the right of it, waiting for the field to kind of clear so we can stand and give our analysis of the game together. We had a video guy with us and everything like that. And here's George Kittle as a first-year guy, and he is signing every autograph, taking every picture with military, with all. And I'm like, man, what a cool guy. And I didn't realize what a connection he had at the time to the military. So this isn't something new for George Kittle. He's not doing it for publicity. He really believes in it. And so he wins the Salute to Service Award, which is very, very cool. Ben Johnson, who's was the Lions offensive coordinator, now going to Chicago to be the Bears head coach, wins assistant. What else do we got? Rookie Jaden Daniels, as I said. Air player, ground player, Jamar Chase. That's kind of weird. Wouldn't a ground player be a running back versus a Jamar Chase, who's a receiver, being an air player? But I don't know, whatever. And then Trey Hendrickson, which he's vastly underrated, the Deacon Jones. He is so good, and he is never talked about amongst the best edge rushers in the league. I mean, just that dude is good, and nobody talks about Trey Hendrickson. Seriously, he's, at least from a pass rush standpoint, he's every bit what Bosa is and better. And he's been amazing the last couple of years, and nobody really talks about him. And what's crazy is he was a member of the Saints, and he didn't get much pub, and then he went to the Bengals, and all he's done is just crush it. And when people talk about elite defensive players, they rarely talk about Hendrickson. So there is the complete list last night of winners from NFL honors. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments. So again, not a lot of Niners on there outside of Eric Armstead, the former Niners, the Walter Payton, and the salute to service to George Kittle, which I think is very, very cool, and he deserves it. We will play some George Kittle. Give me 1 second. We will play some George Kittle, Joe Montana, and Fred Warner from Media Row yesterday. But let me just do one double check to make sure. Okay, he's checked in here. Let's see. Might not have time. What do you mean? No, he has to come on my show. Give me 5 minutes for Bourbon Street Talk. Okay. He just tried to turn me down, my own son, for a guest appearance on my show. Yeah, that's not happening. All right. I am going to ground his ass. I am going to ground him. He's coming on my show, believe me. He's coming on my show. We've been begging for Hurricane Talk, and he's going to blow me off on a Friday. Yeah, he's got to give me 5 minutes. Yeah, or else, you know what? I know where he lives. I pay his bills. There's no chance. There's no chance. Because if it comes down to that, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say that to him unless he tries to give me a no. Like, you can miss the first 5 minutes of your show. Like, you're not going to school without me. I pay the bills around here, sucker. So, yeah, that's you trying to blow me off my own show? Like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, I'm going to. I said, need 5 minutes or my bank account is closed. Ha ha. Not really ha ha. Seriously, I'm not giving you any more money. I mean, seriously, you pay somebody like you pay a kid and they tell you they can't give you 5 minutes to talk about Bourbon Street? What are you, insane? Believe me, we will have major problems. Major problems. And you know how cranky I was yesterday? That's going to all come back. That's gonna all come back if he's saying he's not coming on my show. All right. Hall of very good. I don't want to be a jerk because look, these guys, man. I'm a big proponent. Once a guy gets in, man, he's a Hall of Famer. That's really cool. It changes your life, changes your finances, changes everything. You deserve it. I'm not here to say that guys aren't that they haven't worked hard or anything like that. But I think you know my philosophy when it comes to Hall of Fames, which is it would be really hard to get into my Hall of Fame. Not that anybody would want to be in my Hall of Fame, but it would be really hard. That's just how it would be in terms of a voter or something. I want the elite of the elite. I understand. I would still do okay, here's the cream of the crop and then the next level, but there would be no level after that. So, for example, if I did a Hall of Fame, I understand LeBron and Jordan and Curry and, there's certain guys that you're just like Kareem. Okay, those guys are Hall of Fame of Hall of Fame. That's that level. It's way up here. Ken Griffey Jr., whatever, Derek Jeter, Barry Bond. Oh, never mind. But anyway, there's that elite level. And then there's a level below that, but then there's not a level below that, if that makes any sense. Craig Biggio's not in my Hall of Fame. Sorry. Billy Wagner's not in my Hall of Fame. Sorry. You're Hall of very, very, very good. But Hall of Fame is like the rarest of the rare air, right? So yesterday, this is who went into the Hall of Fame. Eric Allen, from Arizona State. Jared Allen, where do you go to school? Idaho State. I don't know why I know these things. Antonio Gates was a basketball player, right? Kent State, I think. And Sterling Sharp, South Carolina. Sterling Sharp's a tough one because he didn't play very long, but we are getting more and more with, the Patrick Willises and the Kurt Warners of the world and Terrell Davises of the world. Look, it's what you did when you were there. So, okay, I get it. Antonio Gates, always been a Hall of Famer to me. He was really difficult because to give you a little bit of a philosophy on my Hall of Fame, it's not everybody's got a different definition of what the Hall of Fame is, and I'm totally fine with that. Some people have this definition, which I don't necessarily agree with. Can you tell the story of football? Can you tell the story of baseball? Can you tell the story of basketball or hockey or whatever without including this player? And that's what the elite of the elite is. If that is your criterion, then your Hall of Fame is really, really tough to get into. The door is never open because you can tell the story of football without Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp with all four of them. You could. And I think Gates is a Hall of Famer. I'm okay with Sterling Sharp being a Hall of Famer because the only reason he's not is because he didn't play long enough. Jared Allen was a terror. You know what Jared Allen's biggest claim to fame is? I'll give you a minute. Put it up on the board, and then I'll wait. Dan Orlovsky, he was the guy closest to Dan Orlovsky when Dan Orlovsky ran out of the back of the end zone. That was Jared Allen, and he was pointing at him. Number 69 was pointing right at Dan Orlovsky. This guy's out of the back of the end zone. And then you got Eric Allen, who I like Eric Allen. I've met Eric Allen. He's been on our show before. He's a really great dude. But Eric Allen and Jared Allen are Hall of very, very good. I'll go with Antonio Gates, and I'll acquiesce on Sterling Sharp because that's the way that the trend is going. That it's not how long you played, although you got to play a certain amount, but he had major injuries. And so Sterling Sharp is a great wide receiver. Nobody can doubt that. It's just, it's longevity. Would he play that long enough? So that's the Hall of Fame class. I'd love to know your thoughts on the Hall of Fame class. And I'm going to, in a second, show you who didn't get in, and I'm going to show you the people for 2026 because there's a major 49er on next season's ballot who I think should be a no-brainer. And if he doesn't get in, I'm going to lose my mind and throw another phone, and maybe a lot worse than that, because Roger Craig should be in, which is a complete travesty. Like, first of all, let me go back to this for just a second. Is Roger Craig better than all four of these guys? By a freaking mile. And I don't want to, I'm contradicting myself because now I'm disrespecting guys who worked so hard and were really, really good players and got into the Hall of Fame. But you're looking at this list saying Roger Craig's not a Hall of Famer, but Gates, Sharp, and the Allens are. Like, Roger Craig's not in. And I think that's what pisses Roger Craig off the most and why he doesn't do a lot of public things anymore, because he is mad about it. And I tell you this all the time. I know players, and I've been around a lot of them and covered a lot of them, and it matters. It matters to these guys that they get in the Hall of Fame. It matters absolutely, because it's the last thing that ties them to all this work that they've done since they were a kid. They want to win championships. Jimmy Butler came here. We talked about Jimmy Butler earlier. Jimmy Butler wants to win championships, but at the end of the day, these guys have worked so hard, and you know what they want to be? Immortalized. They want to be immortalized. Now, there's certain guys who are never going to be immortalized, but if they're damn good and they get done, they're like, am I going in? And it changes their life. Did you see that? I played it for you, the video of Billy Wagner. For 10 years, Even though I think he's the Hall of Very Good, for 10 years he sat there and waited and waited and waited and waited and waited. And that's the problem I have with every version of how they get into the Hall of Fame. I think there should be one vote. Are you in or not? Because Sterling Sharp didn't catch any more passes, even though he had been on the ballot for a long time. Billy Wagner never threw any more pitches. But yet, on the 10th year, everyone went, "Oh, Billy Wagner, it's his last year on the ballot. Let's put him in." The whole system's screwed up. You're eligible, and you're either in or you're not. Why do you have to go back? Like, it's so important. It is. It's one of the most important. It is the single most important thing an individual can be honored with is the Hall of Fame. So do the work on the player. So the player, you have 5 years. So the player then retires, and you have 5 years to determine whether that guy is Hall of Fame worthy or that person is Hall of Fame worthy or not. And then it takes another 10 after that to decide. I got to look a little deeper. Got to look a little harder. Got to look a little. Do the work. You got 5 years to do the work. I need 10 more. I need 2 more. I need 3 more. I got to look. I don't care if the Hall of Fame class is 50. Put them in. Put them in. One vote. That's it. You're either in or you're not. You had 5 years to wait. It's not like okay, tomorrow we're going to vote on it. I get it. Take a little time. Take your time. But I gave you 5 years to wonder if this person is a Hall of Famer. And again, my Hall of Fame, which has very tight doors and lots of locks on it and no windows, I can determine many times without having to look at numbers. That's the way I would gauge it. If I have to look at numbers and dive deep and go analytical and war and blah, 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 then that person is not a Hall of Famer. I shouldn't have to go deep. I should just be able to say, I should be able to look at this list from last night and say, you're in. And if I looked at that list just with no numbers, I'd say Antonio Gates for sure is in. Sterling Sharp, I get it because that's the trend. And Allen aren't Hall of Famers without having looked at anything. They're really good players, but it's supposed to be incredibly elite. Very difficult club to get into in all sports. And the way that it's voted on is just stupid because it's like it took so long to think and marinate, and I guess that guy's in. If it takes 10 years to get a guy in, he's not in. It's not good enough. As far as next year is concerned, these are the guys who didn't get in, and I don't have a problem with it. I really thought we were going to have a big Eli Manning conversation, and I'm glad we didn't get to it earlier because I had it in. I had it in to talk about, but Eli Manning is not a Hall of Famer. And I'm just doing this stuff off the top of my head. Eli Manning's never a Hall of Famer, but he's going to get in because he's a nice guy. He's funny. He's on the Manning cast, and he's Peyton's brother. And he beat the Patriots twice. Congratulations. 2 games don't put you in the Hall of Fame, but that seems to be the number one reason he gets in. Well, he beat the Patriots twice, and they were undefeated one time, and so he should get in. I never feared Eli Manning. I like Eli Manning, and he's very good. But when the Niners ever played the Giants or any game I watched where the Giants played, I never went, "Oh, damn, Eli Manning, man, he's going to crush it." Now, certain times he did, but sometimes he threw dumb interceptions and then had that look on his face. But he's doing all this post-career stuff so that he can get in the Hall of Fame. And Kurt Warner did it, and Terrell Davis did it, and Alex Rodriguez has tried, but it's failed. But one of the reasons why some of these guys get in who are borderline guys is because they're nice guys, and the media starts to like them, and the media does the voting for this stuff. And so if you're an ass, you're not getting in. Jeff Kent should be a Hall of Famer. It's a no-brainer. I'm not saying he's a first ballot this or that, but it's like Jeff Kent was an ass, and he's not in. It's just that shouldn't have anything to do with it. So anyway, Eli Manning, I think Adam Vinatieri, without looking at it, just because of those kicks for the Patriots, he's probably in. I'm surprised Torrey Holt's not in. Kuechly's shocked that he's not in. I mean, Patrick Willis and again, I know they're going to make Kuechly wait. Can't be a first ballot. Whatever. He's Patrick Willis. And he had a short career like Patrick Willis. Luke Kuechly's a Hall of Famer. Just put him in. He's got to wait. And he's a Hall of Famer. Fred Taylor, to me, is not. Suggs really good. Terrell Suggs was the first guy, if you remember back, in Super Bowl 47, and their game plan was hit Kaepernick. Didn't matter. They were doing the zone read, and he's live in the run game. That was a big thing for Baltimore. They're like, is he live in the run game? He's live in the run game. And Terrell Suggs, who wore 55, came off the edge, and even if Kaepernick gave the ball, he smoked him. And that kind of ended that. It was like, oh, man, Kaepernick's going to be great forever. And then Baltimore, especially in that Super Bowl, went, nah, we're going to smoke this guy every time we can. And then after a while, it was like, he gets hit a lot. Let's not do that. Marshall Yondo's going to get in. Darren Woodson is one of those great players from the Cowboys teams that played the Niners that it's like, oh, that's enough. He's kind of like Roger Craig. That's enough. We're not putting any more of those guys in. He should be in. Jari Evans was a really good guard for the Saints, and Willie Anderson was a really nice tackle for the Bengals, but the problem for him is the Bengals sucked. Had the Bengals been better and in a larger market, Willie Anderson's probably in the Hall of Fame. And go back to Eli for just 1 second. If Eli plays for, I don't know, give me a team, just an Minnesota instead of New York, we're not even talking about him as a Hall of Famer. Even if they had won a couple of Super Bowls in New York, and they just shove it down our throat. And so, I don't mean this to be a bitch session about Eli, because I like Eli and he's really good. But in my world, he's never in the Hall of Fame, and he's always in the Hall of Very Good. But because of New York, because he's Peyton's brother, because he's on Manning Cast, because he did Chad Powers, and because people like him and he's kind of funny and funky, then he's going to eventually get into the Hall of Fame when he shouldn't, because he won 2 games against the Patriots, who were really, really good and had an undefeated season. And there was a hell of a catch on a helmet by David Tyree. Without David Tyree, we're not talking about Manning in the Super Bowl, or in the Hall of Fame. But all of those factors, which should be non-factors in Hall of Fame consideration, are. That's just my 2 cents, and it doesn't mean I'm right, but that's how I think of it. All right, now this is the part that's interesting to me. So that was no in 2025. This is 2026. And what starts to happen before I show you that is guys who were borderline who didn't get in 2025, the problem starts to happen if you're not a first ballot guy, which some people, he's got to be first ballot. That means something. No, it doesn't. There's no written rule. Either you're in or you're not. It's not first ballot. I think it's dumb, but whatever. So maybe with Eli, it's like, well, we can't put him in now because he can't be first ballot. What starts to happen is guys start to stack up at your position, and it drives you further and further down the list if there are more. So it's like, we got to get certain guys in. Like first guys are certain first ballot guys. So this is next year. This is going to be heavy. Larry Fitzgerald is in. Drew Brees is in. Phillip Rivers is in. Jason Witten, is even though his broadcasting career not great, he has the numbers and he was a Cowboy. He'll get in. I don't know if he'll get in first ballot, but he'll definitely get in. So those first 3 guys are no-brainers. They're getting in. Rivers didn't win enough, but his numbers are ridiculous. He's getting in. Frank Gore right there. That's the guy you care about. If they don't put Frank Gore in on first ballot, again, we're going to have a phone throwing. We're going to have anger. We're going to have a childish tantrum by me. I can already tell you now. Look, what is he, 3rd on the all-time rushing list? I mean, I'm just off the top of my head. He played forever. There's something to say for longevity, like all these guys who don't play for a long time. He came into the league with already missing an ACL. I mean, that's just the whole thing is just, I mean, what Frank Gore did is just out of this world, what Frank Gore did. Now they hand him the ball at the goal line at Super Bowl 47, and he's got a ring too, and then it's, then he's definitely in the Hall of Fame first ballot. He's getting in. It's just a matter of, is he going to get in on the first ballot? It's like, people tell me that, and they're like, he's not considered one of the this and that. I don't care. He's a lot like Curtis Martin, where it's like Curtis Martin, let me see, look at all-time rushing list. I think he's 3rd. I could be wrong. But, like, I'm looking at guys like Curtis Martin who are in, and Curtis Martin, to me, was never, like, the best running back in the league. But he was, here, let me show you this. But it was like, you got to put him in just because of the numbers. So let me put this down for just 1 second, because I'm going to go through that one more time. But let me share my screen with you, because I just saw this, and you probably looked this up too. But I'm just going to do this. Boom, and boom. So there you go. Emmitt Smith. And again, Emmitt's got the most yards, so you got to give it to him, and obviously he is. But Emmitt Smith isn't Walter Payton. Emmitt Smith isn't Barry Sanders. Emmitt Smith isn't, to me, LaDainian Tomlinson. I think all those, he's not Eric Dickerson. I mean, all those running backs, he's not Jim Brown. I think all those backs are better. But Emmitt played for a long time for a really good team with a big offensive line, and so you got to give him credit. I'm not saying he wasn't good. It's just the all-time leading rusher. I didn't see that dynamic nature like I did with like a Walter Payton or a Barry Sanders or a LaDainian Tomlinson or Eric Dickerson. I mean, those guys were like ridiculous. I don't care what the numbers say, but Emmitt's a Hall of Famer, duh. So Walter Payton is 2nd, and there's Frank Gore. There's only 3 guys in the history of the league that have 16,000 or more rushing yards. Gore, Payton, and Smith. I'm not saying Gore is up there. Like, he's ahead of Barry Sanders, who retired early because he got sick of the losing in Detroit. He's not better than Barry Sanders. He's not better than Adrian Peterson. He's not better than LT. He's not better than Dickerson. He's probably not better than Tony Dorsett. He's probably not better than Jim Brown. Marshall Faulk was a great 2-way back down there, 12th. Edgerrin James, Marcus Franco, whatever, different era. So, there's Derrick Henry at 19. He's going to the Hall of Fame, no doubt. And then blah, 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 blah. But he's 3rd. Like, it doesn't matter. Look at that, 2005 to 2020. Running backs don't play that long. Like, let's go down and look at how long did Falk play? 94 to 05. So he played 11. I mean, Frank, look at it says 5 teams. Look at that. There's a bunch of it, and it says, Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago. Like, look at all that. Every one of these running backs outside of Jim Brown, Barry Sanders, and Walter Payton all played for other teams because it's like, well, dude, you're 30, get out. So, I mean, he played for the most. He played for 5 teams. There's a 4-teamer for Eric Dickerson. There's a 4-teamer for LaShawn McCoy down there. But, he played for 5 teams. He wanted to play forever. He didn't just play for the Niners. And he was fairly effective when he was the Jets and the Colts and all that kind of stuff. But he's third. Like, that's first ballot. Like, I don't care what you think of Frank Gore. That's first ballot. And he could block like a mother and catch it out of the backfield. I mean, he was Frank the Tank. He was Frank the Tank, not only because he was a good back, but he smoked people. Smoked people in the pass game. And he was the all-around running back, was Frank Gore. Say what you want. Third all-time, 16,000 rushing yards. Only 3 players have accomplished that. He's going to the Hall of Fame, and there is no doubt. So if there's a debate next year about Frank Gore being a first-ballot Hall of Famer, get out of here, man. And I know it's not all about the numbers. I understand that. But when you're that far up the list, it was like Terrell Owens. Remember when Terrell Owens didn't get in? Same kind of thing as I said. I don't like Terrell Owens. He was a jerk to me. I don't care what he was to you. Take your ego out of it, sports writer. You're a jackass. Terrell Owens, look where he is on the lists. And I don't have to look at the list to know that Terrell Owens was great. Yeah, he was a jerk. Yeah, he ran himself out of every team that he played on, out of every town. He was doing, setups on a driveway. It was stupid. I was in Dallas when he was there, and people thought he was going to kill himself. I mean, he was full of drama, man. T.O. was about T.O. I get it, but that doesn't mean he's not a Hall of Famer. Same thing with Frank Gore in a different way. Frank Gore's a Hall of Famer. How did that get up there? Frank Gore's a Hall of Famer. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. So anybody who says he's not, it's like, whatever. And it's not just about numbers. Go watch the tape. So Fitzgerald's in, Breeze is in, Rivers is in, Witten probably next year. He's got huge numbers too. Frank Gore. Now, this is where it gets interesting. To me, Julian Edelman is not a Hall of Famer. He's a Hall of very, very good. But he was on those Patriots teams, and he's best friends with Tom Brady, and he's doing a podcast now because, he's trying to push that agenda. The Pouncey brothers, interesting. Probably get in at some point, both. LaShawn McCoy's not a first ballot. You just saw, what is he, 21st? Thomas Davis, really nice linebacker with the Panthers, shouldn't get in. Greg Olson's a great broadcaster, shouldn't get in. Alex Smith, love Alex Smith, but he's not going to get in. Des Bryant shouldn't get in, and another kicker. So those guys aren't getting in. But the first 5 should get in. The first 5 should get in. And I don't know what the logjam is at any of the positions or anything like that. Well, this tight end's got to get in, or this guy's got to get in. I mean, it doesn't matter for Breeze and Fitzgerald and Rivers. Those guys are all going in. There's no doubt. And then after that, Witten may or may not. Gore, I think there is going to be a debate about Gore, even though I think it's the dumbest thing ever. If you're the 3rd leading rusher and only if you're one of 3 that have 16,000 or more rushing yards in the history of the game. Oh, okay. Okay, he is going to call. Yeah, that thing did it. I said, you still need some money, and you still need to eat, and you still need to have your hotel paid for, and you still need a little bit of money for college. And he was like, oh, come on. It works. All right, he's going to call me right now. Let me see. I do have one more thing. I am not done. One more thing about Hall of Fame, and then we got to get to the Niners stuff. We're an hour and 30 into the show today on a Friday, and we got a lot of Niners video. I have so much video to show you, but young son is going to join us momentarily, so hang on a second. And he's going to give us a call. Whoops, sorry. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm producing on the air. Yeah, I know he went on that show. Look, I have no problem, man. Krug puts me on all the time, and he's got like 50,000 followers, and I'm just trying to, roll in his wake a little bit. And I'm the one who gave Krug his number. I'm like, Krug, have him on, man. Yeah, I want him on. I want him to get as much pub as he possibly can, but he's got to give me 5 minutes. I mean, he's giving me like 25 minutes the last 2 days, and that's totally fine. He's busy. He's like, what's amazing is he's on at noon. He's like, well, I have so much to do. And I'm like, you're on in 2 hours. I mean, me and Greg, we would walk around and do all these different shows. Like last year with the Niners being in the Super Bowl, I must have done 20 shows, 20 different shows and stand-ups and all this kind of stuff when when the Niners were in the Super Bowl last year, and same in Miami. Miami, I did a ton of shows. Super Bowl 47 in New Orleans, I did a ton of shows. I was like, yeah, it's the Niners. Like, everyone wants to talk to you. Cool. And then, after that, it's like, okay, I got to do my show. But I mean, I would look at my watch sometimes and be like, okay, our show starts in 2 minutes. I got to get myself an energy drink over there. There's some chicken wings over there that are for free. There's Ike from Ike Sandwiches. He's the greatest. Ike would always bring us sandwiches. I got to get a sandwich because I was going to be sitting in a place for 4 hours. I couldn't move because it was guest. Like, you couldn't leave. And the bathrooms were like 5 football fields away. And so I was like, okay, I got 3 minutes. I got to go to the bathroom. I got to get some wings. I got to get a couple of energy drinks and a couple of bottles of water because I'm not feeling so hot. And I would do that within like 3 minutes. And he's like, oh man, the show's in like 30 minutes. I can't come on. I'm like, what are you talking about? We would stay out till 4 a.m. and then we'd be right there. And then we would do our show. And it was like, yeah, I mean, Greg wouldn't show up till 9:59. Everybody was freaking out. Where's Papa? Where's Papa? Where's Papa? And I'm like, he's fine. Don't worry about it, man. He's fine. Just relax. He's fine. And then, 9:59, here he is. Starbucks, sunglasses, walking around the corner. He did like 20 shows. He was the voice of the Niners. So last year when we were in Las Vegas, he was doing like 25 shows, and they would fit in our show, and then that was it. He's coming. So he said, walking around or sitting, I can call right now. What time did he do that? Yeah, we're fine. He'll be calling. It's 9:43. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's the only problem with that is that you're public, right? So I'm in you're in that whole Radio Row deal, and you're public, and you're like, oh, I can't do that. So anyway, it's not nepotism. No, it's not nepotism. And I'm not. It's not like I'm paying him, but I am telling him like, look, I am paying you, and Larry's not paying you. Like, Larry's not giving you any money. He's not giving you any free. What's the sandwich sponsor that he's got? He's not giving you any free. Guys, that's off the top of my head. I know what it is, but anyway, I'm not gonna lie. Look, I'm getting reports from. Is he still on that? Is he still on with Krug right now? I'm not gonna lie. George is looking pretty fresh right now. Might have only drank half of the hurricane. All right, I'm getting reports of my own son on another show, which I'm totally fine with. I love Krug. But is he on the? Is he? Hang on one second. I'm gonna see where he is. Is he still on the Krug show? Check and then come back. Don't you dare leave me. Let me see something real quick. I don't see it. Where's Krug's show at? Is Krug doing a show? Oh, there it is right there. Hang on a second. I'm dueling shows right now. Let's see here. No, he's off. He's not even on their show. I'm looking at it right now. I'm gonna give Krug crap. You stole my kid? There. Did it even go through? I don't know if it did. I said, you stole my kid. I'm not paying. Like, I'm not paying $1.99 to have him read my stuff. I just said, you stole my kid. And then I hit enter and I don't see it. You see here. Hang on a second. I'm watching his show while doing my show. There it is. You stole my kid. Watch it. Gotta see it. Hold on a minute. Let me see if they ever acknowledge it. Hang on. This is going to be double audio here. I don't think this is illegal to do. Can you hear that? All right. Never mind. Did that come through? I mean, it came through my headphones, so it might have come through. But did Krug's show come through with? Maybe he's calling in right now. I should probably watch my own show, shouldn't I? Let's see if the kids. Let's see if he's there. Nope, still not there. He's not there. He's still not there. Crazy. Hang on one second. Let me see here. Did that come through? By the way, you didn't hear anything. Okay. No, I just played it and I could hear it through my headphones when I played it. You may not have heard it. Yeah, he's not on Krug show. Maybe they're going early today. That's very possible. Oh, there he is. All right, we're gonna do this fast. We got to go because he just got off Krug show. All right, let's get him going. What's happening? I know you don't have much time today. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. All right, how's Radio Row real quick, then Bourbon Street, and then we'll let you out of here today. You're looking slick. I like the necklace. All right, George, day 5, Friday from Radio Row in New Orleans. The stash is good. The hair is much better today. What's happening? Give us the lowdown from Media Row in New Orleans.
Well, it's a more relaxed day. Friday is raging in the morning, but not so much in the afternoon. So we are getting to the point where it's starting to slow down a little bit, definitely. Okay, sorry. We have a guest coming on later, and he's right near our table.
Go talk to him.
Right now. Well, no.
It's okay. The show is not professional. If you need to go talk to somebody, go talk to him.
Well, just making sure that
here I can put you backstage. You need to go talk to him, and then I'll pop you back on.
Yeah, let me just see what's going on.
Yeah, okay. Hang on. All right, I can see you. Okay. See, that's what's great about this program that I use. Like I can just like hang out. It's not like I have a problem. Somebody said earlier. Let me see this. Somebody said earlier that he was looking fresh, and he was looking fresh. So he was. Pig and a pickle. Thanks. Pig and a pickle. I'll give them a free plug. I've never been there. But Pig and a pickle is his thing. So, maybe he can get him some pig in the pickle. Although I will say that yesterday, Ike set him up. And so I'm watching him talk to somebody right now. But yeah, Ike set him up. So it's, they're probably enemies or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to find out if he got the scoop on George Kittle's contract. But if he didn't, let me see here. Oh, there you go. I will see if I can get the scoop on Kittle's contract. All right, he's looking down at me. He's fixing his hair. He's looking at himself. Okay, he just gave me the thumbs up. All right, let's do that. See, look at that, man. See how fancy the show is? I can take you off the air, put you on the air.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so what's going on? So it's a little slower. That's what Fridays are like now. Thursdays are bananas. Fridays a little slower.
Yeah.
So a little slower today, is that what you said?
Yeah, definitely a little slower. Not as many star-studded guys hanging around our table. Hold on one sec. Can I go backstage for one more second?
Man, this is okay. No problem. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. I'm not upset with it because we do have a ton of stuff. But he's going to give me a thumbs up again, and we'll get him back on the show. But I told him, I just need 5 minutes. So just give me 5 minutes. I mean, come on, what's going on here? Yeah, I don't know what. I'm gonna have to go back to Krug's show for a minute and annoy those guys and see what's going on. Is it Damon's show or Krug's show? It doesn't really matter, but somebody has to run it. And so that's the only reason I say that. All right, give me the thumbs up again. Okay, now we're back. All right, you good for now? You good for a minute?
Yeah, sorry. We just have
a
guest that we're really trying to get, and he was just standing right by our table. So I was just making sure that he wasn't ready to come on because we go on at 12 New Orleans time, so that's about 11 minutes.
Oh, so you're up early. Okay, all right. Well, let's make it quick for you. All right. So again, radio roll a little slower today, or media roll a little slower, right?
Yeah.
You got anything you can show us? Anybody standing around? Everybody looking? Give us the loop. Give us the spin.
I'm right with Pat as of right now.
Okay.
Let's see if I can.
Okay, there's the Mac. Who's
going on?
Yeah, it's slower today, man. Yesterday was much more chaotic, wasn't it?
I actually don't know who he has on. I don't know everybody. You know everybody. I don't know everybody.
Yeah, okay. All right, let's talk about last night. So I showed everybody. I'm going to pop this up on the screen really quick, all right, because we got to get moving. So here's what I did. I showed everybody the text from last night. Can you see this? So you said to me, Bourbon Street tonight. I said, have fun. It's epic, especially tonight. Bourbon, Cowboy, and Patty O'Brien's. Take some video you can show me. You got any videos, by the way? You got any videos on your phone you can kick over to me so I can see it?
I do not. I did not take many videos last night. We just did a tiny little lap. We didn't really do a whole lot.
So I said, ride the bull, get a hurricane, be careful, they're strong. And then you said, getting a hurricane now. You said at 8:06 p.m. last night. And then I didn't hear another word from you, so I thought maybe you were floored.
Well, you didn't text me back. I called you a little later, and you didn't answer. So
I have a broken phone, remember? I broke my phone, so I can only text with you right now.
Oh,
so anyway, no big deal. So how was it? How was it?
It was all right. Honestly, it wasn't
all
really
right.
There wasn't really a whole lot of people there, to be honest.
What time did you
go? Maybe 10. Maybe 10 we were walking around.
Yeah, it probably doesn't even get rocking until like midnight, actually.
Yeah, so there weren't a whole lot of people there around. We wanted to get to bed at a decent time because we had to move hotels this morning. So we got up a little earlier, but it was all right. I went to Patty O'Brien's. There was nobody there, so we kind of did a lap and then went in and out. Yeah, there wasn't.
How was the hurricane? Did you like the hurricane or no?
That was Jameis.
Yeah, very cool. Jameis is a star, by the way. Jameis is a star.
We had to make sure that we got that, so it was a lot of fun. It was really, really good. I will say that I'm a big fan. We were walking back, and because we kind of just did, there and back. Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, my dad told me that I have to get one, so we had to make sure we got one.
It was really, really good.
good. So I have the souvenir cup and everything.
Nice.
But yeah, it was really good. I will say that I'm a huge fan. I wish they had those over at ASU.
Oh, they can make them. They can make them anywhere. But Patty O'Brien's is the originator of. Did you see them make any giant ones? Because a lot of times what they do is they have that people get one. It's like for 5 people, and they make this gigantic hurricane. It's amazing. But yeah, New Orleans and Bourbon Street, as amazing as it sounds, doesn't really even get going till like midnight. I mean, it really doesn't. I mean, it doesn't really get going. Did you see a bunch of beads? Did you see people throwing beads down at ladies and things like that?
I did see a ton of beads.
Okay. Yep.
People on top of bars up there on the sides throwing up beads. No, it was just I mean, they're just throwing down beads. I'm not really looking everywhere, but I mean, they're throwing down beads. So yeah, made for a great occasion. It was fun,
Okay.
but it wasn't my favorite. I was
that's fair.
a little underwhelmed.
Food wise, before we let you go, you got to go and you got to show in 8 minutes. Food wise, have you had any great New Orleans food? I know you're a bit of a picky eater, but I mean, did you have anything great where you're like, whoa, I really like that? Because New Orleans is one of the best food cities in America.
Not really. I mean,
Okay.
I'm a picky eater, so I haven't really had anything all that great. We've gone out and gone to cool restaurants. Like I said, we saw Stephen A. when we were walking around the other day at a restaurant. He walked in he walked out as we were walking in. So that's how we knew it was a good restaurant, but not necessarily. But I mean, we've done about everything else you can do. I mean, I feel like I've definitely maximized this trip. I feel like there's still a million people I'm turning and burning, and there's all these people walking around me. I'm turning my head. Keep seeing people that I recognize. So yeah.
No Kittle today? Kittle was on everything yesterday.
No Kittle.
No Kittle. Okay. Any more Niners?
I saw Debo. I saw Debo a little bit around. And do you know who we have on our show in a little bit is Tariq Owens. He's a wide receiver for the Niners.
Sure.
He's Terrell Owens' kid.
Yeah.
So
he was with the Niners.
We haven't been on. Yeah,
look
he's
for Eric.
from.
Hey, look for Eric Allen today. So ASU guy and a former Raiders. I sent you, and he'll be walking around because he'll be walking around there. So if you see him, just grab him.
I'm going to be completely honest. I would have no idea what he looks like. So
I sent you a picture of him.
That I promise you that there's a lot of people that look very, very similar to him. So I would not be able to pick him out in the crowd.
All right. You're the best. I know you got 5 minutes and you're worried. So thank you so much. Were my interviews this week better than Kruger's interviews this week?
Definitely. I will say so.
Yeah. I would thought, you're my son. You got to say that. So anyway, but we won't let Kruger hear that. But Kruger's the best. All right, man. Have a safe trip home. Thank you so much. You did a tremendous job at G Lund Media on Twitter, at Blaze Radio ASU. You guys at the top of the hour will get going from Media Row. Have a great time. Yeah. Well done. Good work. Thanks for getting a hurricane and going on Bourbon Street. And we will see you. By the way, I Venmo'd you some money. So just so you know, so you got to, you can eat and everything like that. But have a safe trip. You're leaving tonight, right?
I am leaving tonight, right. 7:30 New Orleans time.
All right. Have a great trip. We'll talk to you soon. Nice work.
Bye.
All right. There you go. There is George on Media Row. Look, he's in some ways a chip off the old block, and in other ways, he's not. He's not the animal I was back in the days. I would have had about 18 of those hurricanes, went to Bourbon Cowboy, rode that thing. But he's, as I told you, man, he's very responsible. He wants to be great. He wants to be, not hungover for the broadcast. He wants to do that really, really well. You know what I might do too is I should have asked him if they were on YouTube because, see, look. So can you hear this? If I pop this up, can you guys hear this or no? No, that's just through my microphone. That's not coming through my microphone. Hang on. But here we are. We are a stretch. If the Kansas City Chiefs win a third Super Bowl. So are you hearing that? Are you hearing that now? I put my headphones. I guess I could turn them up. Here. No, that's not gonna work. Okay. Let's close out of that show. I was just looking because I didn't, I was like, well, is my kid going to come on? Where is he? What's going on? So anyway, there you go. There is George. He did a great job. 3 times joined us from Radio Row, gave us a bunch of good stuff. Much appreciated. But yeah, he's not a rager. He's not rager. Okay. Very low. Yeah. That's as good as I can do. I don't think I can make it any higher because I don't like to have my headphones just blowing out. Plus I just shut the window that they were at. So the only reason I checked out Krug and Damon was just to see if my kid was, still on their show because I was like, dude, I just Venmo'd you. And I Venmo'd him last night. He's like, can I get a few more bucks? I'm like, yeah, sure. Venmo him this morning. I don't know if I have time. But the thing is, the reason we didn't have time is because they're on at the top of the hour at 10 a.m. our time. They were the rest of the week. They were on at 12. They were on at 12. So that's why I didn't have as much time. But anyway, very cool. We went to Bourbon Street. Thanks for joining us. By the way, we're a couple hours into the show. John Lund Unleashed. Thanks so much for joining us. Much appreciated. And we're not going anywhere because I have a lot more to do, but I just wanted to re-welcome everybody to the show. If you're watching on Instagram, I'm looking at the chat on Instagram right now. Very good to see you on Instagram. I'm at John Lund Radio. Let me just say hi to everybody in that room. Hello. I just misspelled hello in the Instagram room, but I just said hello to everybody over at Instagram. Watching on X as well, at John Lund Radio. Make sure that you check it out. Please make sure that you're subscribing and giving us the thumbs up because that helps the algorithm, I'm told, by a lot smarter people than me. Not only do we do the show on Fridays from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific time, but you can watch anytime. And then tomorrow we'll be back on Saturdays at 10 a.m. And we probably have to do a bonus show on Super Bowl Sunday. Oh, by the way, before I get into more of we haven't even talked about the Super Bowl itself. And I do have a little bit more from NFL Honors last night. And then we got to talk about George Kittle, maybe getting a new contract. So we have a ton to go over. So grab a glass of water, a cocktail, whatever it takes. And we'll finish this thing up strong on a Friday. But now I thought I was going to do. But time to listen to Blake. You're going to leave me? Bro, what in the what? Yeah. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So anyway, I told you this a little bit earlier on in the show. My wife might be listening, but if she is, I need a glass of ice in a glass, well, a glass of ice in a glass, a glass of ice, a little bit of that espresso vodka, a little bit of that coffee liqueur. Well, actually, a lot of the coffee liqueur, a little bit of that Hanson's espresso vodka, milk, and that's it. Because last night I had a White Russian. The dude, I had a White Russian last night. I don't know why. I was doing a bunch of work in the studio, and usually, again, a drink like that, but it was late night, and I wasn't going to make coffee or anything. And I thought, you know what would be really relaxing right now is a White Russian. It was amazing. It was absolutely, positively amazing. Actually, you know what I need? I just need the glass of ice. I want to make it here. So I need the Hanson's espresso vodka, and I need the coffee liqueur, and I need like some milk. If you could just do that so we can make it on the air. Are you ordering a drink on YouTube? Yeah, my wife watches a lot, and I can't text her. Oh, maybe I can. Oh, I can text her on my iPad. Hang on one second. Let's see. This response is going to be amazing. I said, can you do me a favor and bring me a glass of ice, the espresso vodka, that coffee liqueur, and some milk? Want to make a drink on the air. Let's see what happens. This is probably going to be a big F you. She's like, what am I? I know she's going to say something that's not going to be able to be said on the air. George Venmo contribution for the Hurricane Fund, the Hurricane Lund Fund. Very nice, Daniel. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Very, very, very nice. Thank you. Much appreciated. In fact, let me keep that on board for a minute. All right. The other thing, let me go back to this for a second. She's going to get really mad. She's probably not even here. Let's see. What are you saying there, Pat H? See, I jump in. Shout out to Lund's wife. We'll see. I mean, she gets a shout out no matter what, but we'll see. Yeah, it might start with go, Tacky. It might start with go and then the letter F. It's probably people are on fire today. Ma, the meatloaf. I want it now. Yeah, that's probably not happening. Not happening. Bloody Marys. Yeah, big Bloody Mary guy. Absolutely. Big Bloody Mary guy. I don't want her to have to bring in that because I will tell you, I'm not bragging. I've said this story before. I bartended a ton through college at a very fancy joint. And not only did I it was like a high-end steak seafood place, private club kind of a thing. So I did that. But not only did I do that, so at night I would do that. And then on Sundays, I would always do Sunday brunch because you can make a ton of money in like 4 or 5 hours. Problem was in college, I was hungover so much that I would go in there. This is no lie. And they had these coolers. So it was a circular bar, but at one end you could kind of bowed in and you could kind of get away from people. And so what I would do is if I was really hungover on a Sunday and I was in college, I would get kind of down, I would duck down away from everybody, and you could open this one cooler that didn't have anything in it, and I would stick my head in the cooler for like 30 seconds, like, oh God, oh, you got to be kidding me, I'm so hungover. And then I would get out of there and be like, okay, because I mean, if the boss ever saw you, what are you doing? Like, you laying in the cooler? What is wrong with you? Get out, because it's a high-end joint. Like, I had a bow tie, the whole 9 yards, but you could make a ton of money. My point is that I'm going to go ahead and say this. I am one of the best Bloody Mary makers. One of the best. I can't speak, but I'm one of the best Bloody Mary makers in all of the world. And the key is fresh horseradish, because what you do is they would have these trays, these seafood trays that they would make on ice, crab legs or whatever, and all these different things, and lobster. And within that, they would put or oysters, and they would put the fresh horseradish in there. And what I would do is I would steal it, and I would make a creamed horseradish with it. And then I would put, your Worcestershire in there, and a little bit of A1 in there is absolutely huge. Lots of lemon and lime juice is a big thing. But what I would do is the key was this fresh horseradish, and I would make a creamed horseradish for my shift, because people were like, well, when Lund makes them, they're different. And so I would do all this kind of stuff, and I would shake it up and really nice strain, and do the lemons and the limes. And of course I would do the blue cheese olives, which are amazing. And then, you put the celery and whatever in there. So I'm a big Bloody Mary guy. I can only do about one. And then the other thing is that I don't do a ton of them, like I'll do one like on Sunday, no doubt about it. Sunday, Bloody Mary, Sunday, Bloody Mary. Yeah, I would always, those are just outstanding. Yeah, horseradish is living dangerously. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But again, I wouldn't do too much. I'd be smart about it. Like, you can only do like, a little bit of not a spoonful. I'm just saying, like, I would make this, and it would be in like a little plastic thing, and then I would just take a little bit out at a time. But that gives it really good heat with giving it some really good flavor. Because a lot of people, they just take Tabasco and there's like, some kind of hot sauce, and it's like, no, I don't want to burn my stomach. I don't want to get an ulcer based on the Bloody Mary that I just made. So that's, I'm telling you, that's some good heat, and it tastes really, really good. And you can put all sorts of different stuff in it, but that's just one way to do it. I don't think I'm getting a drink. I don't think I'm going to be able to make that drink unless I leave, and I don't want to do that. Ooh, good call, bro. Yeah, pickle juice is outstanding. That's a really great call right there. A little bit of pickle juice in a Bloody. That's the great thing of Bloodies. Everybody's kind of got like a thing that they do. To me, and it's got to be fresh squeezed lemon and lime juice, not out of a bottle or anything like that. You got to just squeeze it. You got to do it yourself, and that's really, really good. A little bit of A1 is good, along with the Worcestershire. A little salt, pepper. By the way, celery salt on the rim, gotta have it. And then it's up to you in terms of how you garnish that sucker. But I like blue cheese olives. I'll go with the celery stock. God, there's a plate. Oh, bacon. You got to make bacon. I'm sorry. For the Super Bowl, it's worth it. You make a big thing of bacon. I have one of those outdoor flat tops. I'll make a bunch of bacon, and then you put the 3 blue cheese olives. You put the lemon and lime in there. Not only do you squeeze it in there, but you put a lemon and a lime, and then you do, like I said, the horseradish thing. But as far as like the garnish, you do celery stock, 3 blue cheese olives, and bacon. People put like asparagus in there, like pickled asparagus. I'm not a pickled asparagus guy. And again, do you. That's a theme of the show. You do you. But I'm just, that's not me. I'm not the pickled asparagus guy. That's all. So it's really good. But now you got me on a Bloody Mary tangent, and I've been on the damn show for 2 hours, and we're not even close to being done. Pickle juice is a great call right there. I'm not saying hot sauce isn't good. Like some people are like, whoa. No, it's really good. You put a little hot sauce in there, it's good. I wouldn't do Tabasco. That's not my favorite. A little vinegary. But yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, it's good. I'm telling you, they're good. It's just, I'm not going to do, I can't do 5 Bloody Marys. I just can't. It's not going to happen. Hold on. Let me double check, and then we're going to move on. All right, no response. She must be working. Somebody around here's got to work. I'm not working. All right, let's see. Where did we leave off? Episode 55, Butler reaction. Butler presser, LA over Golden State. LeBron, 42-17 last night. NFL honors. I showed you the list of who won what. I'll flash that up there very quickly. NFL awards. There we go. There's your winners. Josh Allen being the biggest one. Eric Armstead, congratulations. Walter Payton, Man of the Year award. Hall of Very Good. I showed you who got into the Hall of Fame. I don't love the class, but okay, you got to respect the class. So there you go. Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, Sterling Sharp finally gets in there as well. No, in 2025, Eli's the biggest name on that list, and I don't think he's ever should be a Hall of Famer. I gave you the stuff. Frank Gore is the big name. The first three are definitely getting in. Witten, probably. Gore, probably. I can't believe we're saying probably about the third leading rusher of all time. I'm not saying probably as in he won't ever get in. I'm saying next year, which ridiculous. He should. Armstead, we talked about, but there he is, honored to receive the Walter Payton Man of the Year award. I am nothing without so many people who have been a blessing in my life. Thank you to the NFL nationwide. Excited to continue to serve our young people and inspire the next generation. He is a good dude. Interact with him a ton when he was a Niner from his rookie year on. Had him on 3 times from the Super Bowl when he was nominated for this award. So I'm very happy that he won it. So that is very, very cool for that. All right, let's move on. Don't make me do Belichick red carpet. No. Who did that? Who put Belichick up on the screen? Come on, man. Anyway, we already did that. All right, let's get the Kittle deal. You've probably been waiting for this forever. Like, is Lund ever going to get anything? We're 2 hours into the show. What is he doing? What is he doing? All right, here's George Kittle asked yesterday about a new contract. He has 1 more year left on his deal. Here he is with Up and Adams, which we have a couple from Up and Adams here. Here's George yesterday.
I think, we're mild down the same page.
What are we waiting for?
I have no idea.
Hang on.
Yeah, are we want to clip this off and send it directly to John Lynch?
John Lynch, Jed York, Kyle Shanahan, send it to all of them.
Bueller, when is this happening? You're entering the last year of your contract.
I am.
I know you want to retire as a Niner, yes?
I would love to.
What's happening? Pizza.
Pizza's happening, Kay. Waiting on them.
There's no talking yet?
No, I think there's been talking. I think, we're mild down the same page.
What are we waiting for?
I have no idea.
All right, so that's not dandy to hear. You know my feelings on George Kittle, and I've told you the story before, so I'll make it very, very quickly for those who are new. I think it's fairly important. A couple of years ago when George was getting hurt a lot, and it's because the irony to me, or not irony is the wrong word, but is that George Kittle busts his ass for the organization, and the organization wants him to play a certain way, so he plays that way, exactly how they want players to play, and then he gets hurt, and then the organization holds it against him. But that's sports. That's not the Niners. That's just sports. So play hard. Give us everything you got. Play balls out. Play pedal to the metal constantly. That's George. George is rock and roll football all the time, and then he gets hurt, and they go, bro, you can't get hurt so much. Well, it's like, look, you're asking me because we don't have any other tight ends. We've tried for years, Braden Willis and Cam Latu and all these different guys that they've tried to draft, and they just I don't know what it is about the Niners. They just can't find a backup tight end to take a little bit of pressure off George, because if you take George off the field, he blocks, he catches, he inspires, like he just does everything. So the tight end market is the tight end market. So it's not like we're talking about Brock Purdy here, the kind of money that he's going to get, but he showed you this past year. So he busts his balls all the time, and he busts his butt, and he's a great leader on this team, and he has fun, and he's everything you'd want in a player and a teammate. And at the position, and this isn't homerism because you know how the show works. I'm not going to homer. I'm going to tell you exactly what I think. And if you don't like it, that's totally cool, man. We can have a debate about it and we can talk about it. That's what's great. I'm not going to yell and scream, I know more. I don't think that. It's all opinion based. It's not math. Math has one answer. We don't. There's a million, and it depends on your viewpoint and all these different things. And I totally get it. But as far as I'm concerned, George Kittle is one of the best tight ends of all time. I'm not into like the best or the Mount Rushmores or whatever. Let me just throw it out. And I think you know this. I think personally right now, he's better than Travis Kelce because Travis Kelce's one-dimensional. He's better than Brock Bowers, who's really, really nice. And I think somebody made him an all-pro. I mean, Brock Bowers is a really nice player. He is nowhere close to what George Kittle is and what George Kittle's accomplished in terms of being an all-around tight end. Bowers is a great receiver. There's a long way to go to catch George Kittle in terms of how he's used in the run game and how much they depend on him. He's an offensive tackle who is a great pass receiver. And outside of Rob Gronkowski, there hasn't been really anybody like him. I mean, look, there's been lots of great tight ends. And that's why I don't like to say the greatest, from Kellen Winslow to Ditka to Tony Gonzalez. I mean, it's a ridiculous list. But George is in the conversation. I'm not making a Mount Rushmore. I'm not making a greatest of all time. I'm not, because what we do is we tend to forget about the guys, the John Mackeys and the Dave Caspers and the guys who actually did it before, and they didn't used to throw the ball a whole lot to the tight end. So when you see all these guys, the most receptions and this and that, they didn't throw to the tight end a whole lot. He just didn't. I mean, it was just, you were a blocker, and if you could catch the ball, if you could catch 30 balls a season, 35 balls a season, that was good back in the day. Back in the day, that was good. And nowadays, it's like you're a receiver. You're every bit of a receiver is Debo. You're every bit of the receiver that Ayuk is. You're better than Debo. But as far as receivers go, so you're a big part of the game plan in every which way. And then you're an emotional leader. But a few years ago, when he was struggling with injuries, and George can be a bit much. I've said this over the last couple of days. Like when you're not winning or there's certain things and you want one of your friends to be like, dude, just like turn it off or at least turn the volume down. And that's just not George. You've seen it. I mean, you probably watched him on receiver. You probably watched, oh my God, she did it. You did not do this.
I said that I need 20 minutes of snuggles tonight. That's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, it's fine.
On the couch, I want to be snuggled.
Okay. She's angry. I knew this would happen. I knew she'd be really mad. Okay, there's that.
Do people not know how to make a white Russian?
No, they do, but I want to show them. I want to show them this way.
Okay. And then
I don't need. I need a glass and some ice.
Okay, and then milk.
Yeah, I don't need that. But just if you would, maybe some ice and a glass is all.
And no milk.
Yeah, and I'll buy you dinner tonight, and be really nice. Oh God. Okay, now we're fine. She's not watching right now. Can you believe that? Look at that. Okay, we're gonna get to that. I have a whole bar here. I just figured, look, man, it's Friday. Let me move this out of the way. It's Friday, and and I had a white Russian last night. It was so good, so I just wanted to talk to you about it. That's all. Do something, and I'm like, I can't believe she did that. I gotta be completely honest with you. That's like wife of the year material kind of stuff. But seriously, where the heck was I? Oh, you care about Kittle. You don't care about drinking. All right, but as far as Kittle goes, a few years ago, they were just kind of like, George doesn't turn it off. It's kind of annoying. He gets hurt a lot. We're paying him, high end as far as the position is concerned. You think that a couple of years ago, when they drafted a tight end in the 3rd and the 6th round, and they knew that Kittle was 30 plus or getting close to 30, I think he's 30 right now, but was approaching that golden age in the NFL of 30. I mean, think about people thinking 30 is old. Like 30 is so young, and you're not even, it's the best. By the way, I just let everybody know that like wife of the year material.
Oh,
yeah. Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Thanks.
Okay, all right, you deserve it.
I do not.
Thank you.
They can't see me today.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's perfect. That's
Okay.
really good. You're the best. Thank you. Okay. First key is got to fill it up all the way with ice, but we'll do that in a second. I want to finish my thought here. Amazing, by the way. Amazing. That was unbelievable that she did that. Oh, she texted. She said, yeah, for 10 minutes, full snuggle tonight. Otherwise, no. Well, I took it. I guess I have to. I was going to just do dinner. Anyway, snuggles it is. Okay. So George Kittle, they were going to let him go. And they weren't going to let him go, but there was a conversation. Let's just say that. There was a conversation that, and we want to keep this guy long term, blah, blah, blah. So they go out and they try to get 2 tight ends, 3rd round, 6th round. George Kittle, as far as replacing a player, has been the most difficult player amongst this to replace. I mean, Jimmy was good, but then they found Brock, Joe Staley, and then they found Trent. I mean, it's unbelievable what they've been able to do, but they just can't find another George Kittle, and you just can't, from an emotional way to leadership to positivity. I mean, you see all those mic'd up things. He's always positive, and what you see is what you get. All right. I'm not saying I'm great friends with George Kittle. That's not it. But from his rookie year to this year, when I covered him the whole time, if he saw you, he would say hello. If he saw you in the locker room after a loss, he would be cool. Like I've never had a time. We had him on every year from training camp, and he would just be like, right on, man. And he would tell you all sorts of stuff, and he was lots of fun. So what you see is what you get. There's certain guys, as I told you, you don't really know what they are. They're a bit of a mystery, or maybe you think they're fake or whatever the case may be. But as far as George Kittle goes, George Kittle is George Kittle. That's what you're getting. And so from a negative standpoint, if you're going through some times and it's like, dude, the optimism and positivism and going 100 miles an hour in my face is like this, whoa, we got to slow this down. So when he's hurt and all these things, that can be a bit trying. But then you saw this past year where the team was terrible, and George could have bailed on this team a long time ago. He could have said, you know what, I'll just use this as a make good year, and I'm gonna get right. I'm gonna get healthy, and because he's always got something, ankle, knee, strain this, hurt that, whatever. George plays balls out, pedal to the metal, hard. That's how he lives his life. That's how he plays football, and that's the only way he knows how to do it. And so
That's going to shorten your career. That's going to have injuries. That's going to do all these different things. But you know what? Last year, it was important to him to set a tone within the organization to say, it doesn't matter that we're 6-11. We play, and we play hard. And we don't just say, you know what? I'm not going to make the playoffs of the Super Bowl, which is ultimately always their goal and his goal ever since they lost it in 19 in Miami, Super Bowl 54. And he was on the sidelines saying, I want to be back on this mother. And it's going to be with a vengeance. He said that. So that's George Kittle, right? And so there's no talk of that, especially after this season, his age 30 season, in the kind of season he had. They got to re-sign him. And there is no question. If they don't, that's a major problem. So George Kittle right now, he's 30. He'll be 32 next year. He's 31. All right, he's going to be 32 next year. Next year, last year of his contract, $14 million base, $22 million cap hit. So that is huge because last year, to put it in perspective, the cap hits on his contract so far have been 6, 5, 7, 10, and 12. So now it jumps up to 22. I don't think that when they signed him to that contract that they thought he was ever going to play on that. So let me give you a little hint in just looking at that. He's not going to play on that deal. They're going to extend him. They're going to lower the cap number because they don't want a tight end making $22 million. He's not going anywhere. But I can guarantee you, what is today? February 7th at 10:17 a.m. I can guarantee you that George Kittle is going to get an extension because they're not going to play him on that number at $22 million cap. They're not. So I bet George gets I was a thinking man, 2-year extension. The number, I don't know. I got to look at it about it a little bit more. I got to text David Lombardi, but I do know this. He's not going to play on $22 million. His number is not going to jump from 12 to 22. Not going to happen. So he's getting an extension. I don't think there's any doubt about it. But you just heard from, because she brought the booze out, let me just play this really quickly one more time with George and the money. Because you probably forgot about it.
Clip this off and send it directly to John Lynch?
John Lynch, Jed York, Kyle Shanahan, send it to all of them.
Bueller, when is this happening? You're entering the last year of your contract.
I am.
I know you want to retire as a Niner, yes?
I'd love to.
What's happening? Pizza.
Pizza's happening, Kay. Waiting on them.
There's no talking yet?
No, I think there's been talking. I think, we're mildly on the same page.
What are we waiting for?
I have no idea.
See, that's not the best. That's not the best. And I don't mean it on George. It's just that get a deal done. Like, let's not have holdouts and everything because, look, as great as George is, he's a massive leader on this team. And I know that we're going to talk about Brock all off season. But the reality is I'm not saying George is more important than having your quarterback in place for the next 10 years, but it is really important to get George done. And he's not going to play under that 22 number. Now that I'm just looking at that number, he's not going to play under that. So anyway, there's George Kittle. That deal is going to get done. One more George Kittle, as I said right there, Kittle deal. But let me add this to it. This is really interesting because I know a lot of guys that I've talked to that are NFL players. They will go nowhere near the Super Bowl unless they're in it. And the only way they'll do it if they're not in it is if they've already won it. So there's a superstition around NFL players that, look, I'm not going down there because the only time I'm going down there is to play in it and win in it. There's a lot of players like that. And then there's other players that are like, I'm going down there and I'm going to make a bunch of money because Joe Montana, for example, which I'll play in a minute about Brock Purdy, Joe Montana is not going down to New Orleans for less than $500,000. Rob Gronkowski, who famously has said he's never touched any of the money that he actually made, and he's living off endorsements and has his entire adult life. As far as he was there for bounty the other day, George was telling us. I'm guaranteeing that Rob Gronkowski didn't go down to New Orleans to hawk paper towels for less than $500,000. I mean, these guys make a boatload of money, so they can make a lot of money. But a lot of guys say, "Nope, not going to do it. I'm superstitious, and I don't want to get near the trophy, and I don't want to be anywhere near the Super Bowl unless I'm playing in it." There's a ton of guys who are like that. Not George Kittle, but he's kind of in the middle. So Kittle in the middle, Kittle down the middle, middle, Kittle. So Kittle goes there because there's a bunch of money to be made. And he's a tight end after all. And it's not that he doesn't get paid a lot of money, but he doesn't get quarterback money. So he's down there. And in terms of like, he's wearing a pizza shirt. Like he's wearing a Little Caesars. He's all in on Little Caesars. He's making a lot of money. And this is part of his endorsement deal. So this isn't a separate deal with him. Part of his deal where he's a dog, on all those Little Caesar commercials and everything. And I think Little Caesars will have a Super Bowl commercial. So he's all in. He's wearing the T-shirt. He's doing this Little Caesars and everything. It's part of his deal to go down there and get paid a bunch of money. But I bet George Kittle, this part of his contract, again, at least $500,000, if not more. So here is George. He's on the Rich Eisen show, and he won't sit near the trophy. Watch this.
Yeah.
And 3 was, I'll be close to that when I've earned it.
You really feel that way?
I'm going to restart.
Want to be close to this trophy?
I will when I earn it.
So you legitimately took a seat over because the Vince Lombardi Trophy is next.
There were three things that went into my decision to sit here.
Yes.
One,
yes.
the first thing was I figured that no one had sat in this chair yet.
You'd be correct.
Bert did sit there, but Jaden Daniels is also
true.
here.
Bert Kreischer is the other individual to have sat in the seat.
I thought I could smell him.
Has an odor.
I thought I could.
Yeah, that's correct.
Number two was I didn't want you to hit me for the pee.
Yeah.
And three was I'll be close to that when I've earned it.
You really feel that way?
I don't know. It's just kind of weird. I'm weird sometimes, man. Don't judge me for it.
I'm not judging. I think it's kind of cool, though.
Yeah.
That you don't want to.
Like how hockey players don't touch the NFC AFC Championship trophies.
Right. I see that.
I'm good. I'll get there someday.
You're not looking at it, too. You're looking directly. Well, there you go.
I could see myself in it.
It is
multiple
cool.
places. It's a beautiful trophy. Is that the real one?
It is.
Oh, geez, Louise.
It is that.
It's pretty cool.
Dude, why
That's
would you
heavy.
even ask that? What do you? I only get the.
I don't know. I've seen other ones around. Is there a guy with white gloves sitting somewhere?
We do have
the boxes
there's
around.
a box with the white gloves. Yeah. So you know.
Did you get to pick it up yourself?
I did.
Ooh.
Well, I had to place it down. Somebody had to place it down, but I put the white gloves on it, and then I backed off.
Well, I wasn't sure, because with the Stanley Cup, there's guys that follow it everywhere they go. Is that not how this is?
That is
because
not how.
Each team gets their own.
There used to be. I did a pregame show. I was telling these guys the second Super Bowl NFL Network covered was Andy Reid Eagles versus Brady.
All right, that's good. That's enough. So I mean, that's pretty cool though. Like George was like, "Look, I'll go down there. Little Caesars is paying me a boatload of money. It's part of my contract. He doesn't mind. I mean, he's walking around. He's doing all the shows. He's getting all the pub. I don't know what George is going to do post-career, but it's got to be something in media. Maybe it's wrestling. I know he loves wrestling and everything, but he's got to be on TV somewhere, right? I mean, he's just got too good of a personality not to, and he's very smart and knows the game. And you block, so he knows that part of it. He can catch it. He can, he knows a ton. So I don't think George is going to get into coaching. I could be wrong. He's just his personality is way too strong to not be in the media somehow and making a bunch of money. So anyway, but I thought that was really interesting that, he's going down there. He's kind of 50-50. So those guys the guys that just won't go down. I know lots of them who just they've told me before, I'm not going there unless I'm playing. That's just how it is. Not doing it. And then George is like, yeah, I'll do it. And I'm going to make a bunch of money. And it's ridiculous. But I'm not getting near that damn trophy because I haven't earned it. And when I do, I will. All right, so that's where we are on the chalkboard. We're down to Kittle deal. Let's go. And then we did Joe. We have Joe, George, Fred on the right side there. We just did Kittle. Hey, diddle, diddle. Kittle down the middle. Here's Fred Warner. He's hawking something too. And this one's interesting. This is when he was asked yesterday on the Up and Adams show on Media Row in New Orleans ahead of Super Bowl 59. He was asked about the rumors of Myles Garrett, who, by the way, Myles Garrett was on her show yesterday and explained why he asked for the trade. Here is Fred Warner talking about possibly adding Myles Garrett to the 49ers defense.
For Myles Garrett
Explain
on the
why.
team
Explain why.
This is a Hall of Fame player, not just a Hall of Famer, one of the best to ever do it, and just a super soldier. You see him walking around here. He looks a lot different than a lot of these other cats that are walking around here.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that would even come about, how we would get that done, but I know there's some way, somehow we can figure that out.
Yeah, like John
Me
Lynch.
and George can just give a little bit of our funds over to Myles Garrett. How about that? How does that sound?
Now you say that again. You're saying George.
I'm including George in the
George,
equation.
you're making such good money with the scent and Experian that you're
right.
going to give a paycheck to
Myles Garrett.
Myles.
Yes.
Okay, well, you heard it here first.
And in
That might
turn,
be the
we
best.
get a
Oh, shit. All right. I'm sorry I left Fred Warner up there. How long has Fred Warner been up there just like that? I had to run in. She forgot to bring milk. Not that I'm upset and I'm not anything like that, but I looked at the liquor. And I said, well, there's all this liquor. I can make a black Russian, but I wanted to make a white Russian, so I had to run in and get milk. How long was Fred sitting there? And I'm out of breath. Hold on. You never know what this show's going to happen. What happened to John? Going deaf, help. Anyway, did you not hear that? Is that Fred Warner pushing for Myles Garrett? Plus, he's trying to recruit. Yeah, did that not come across?
A lot of talk about Myles Garrett. A lot of talk about what is that face?
Because I'm like, rightfully so. It's Myles Garrett.
What is it? Would you welcome him?
Seems like he'd be using a lot of percent protein.
Well, y'all have a lot going.
All right. So you heard that, right? Because people are not here. Okay, we heard it. Okay. What's funny is that then George Kittle, to bring George Kittle back into this whole thing, because you heard him there say, "Oh, George can give up some money." George doesn't give him. George is like, "Sorry, bro, not doing that." But here's the only reason I did that, and thank you. Now I'm good. Now I do need to make a white Russian because I'm thirsty now. Mute me. Wow, somebody doesn't like Kay Adams. But the latest, I played that for a reason. The latest on Myles Garrett is the Niners are interested, and the Niners are going to try. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to, but from what I understand, they're going to try, and we'll see where it goes. I did a whole piece. If you go to johnlundunleashed.com, well, I'm plugging that a lot, but let me do this. I work hard on it, kind of. So let me share this with you really quickly. Share screen. And let me go back to this. Yeah, that's the wrong one. There it is. So there's the blog. There's the story that I told you was story of the day. But let me go back to blogs here. Come on. This thing works as fast as me running to the kitchen to grab some milk. There it is right there, double trouble. So if you want to read that piece, and nothing's changed in regards, so I have a video on that double trouble. That's Garrett and Bosa. And then I wrote you a piece, and that's Myles Garrett, his letter to say that basically he wants out of Cleveland because they don't win. And then I basically went down the line and I said, if you want to get more on Myles Garrett, let's break it down on the teams that are in and out. So championship contenders. And you can see I scratched out 10 teams there because they're not. Browns won't trade in division. Scratch that out. Would prefer not in the AFC. Scratch those guys out. And then these are the teams that win, have money under the cap, and could get Myles Garrett and actually put him in order. I think the Commanders are 1, Lions are 2, Eagles are 3, Niners are 4, Cowboys. He's from Arlington, Texas, which is where their stadium, Jerry World, is. Rams. I don't think the Rams would trade their young players. Jared Verse was just named Rookie of the Year. Packers, and then I said 2 teams in the AFC if they were forced to trade him there, Chiefs and Bills. So you can check that piece out and read it more and watch the video, Double Trouble, at John Lund Unleashed, not at, just johnlundunleashed.com, johnlundunleashed.com. So check that out if you would like to. And that is my piece a few days ago on when Myles Garrett said, hey, I want to trade. And so I went out there and did that. So that's Fred Warner trying to get Myles Garrett on this 49ers team. What do you think of that? I'd do it in a second. The big debate that I've had with people in regards to Myles Garrett, they don't want to trade pick 11. Here's my rationale. A, the 49ers suck in the first round under this regime outside of Nick Bosa. Don't give me Mike McGlinchey. He didn't sign a second contract. I don't mind Ricky Pearsall, but we'll see. But where this team was largely built was rounds 2 through 7. Deebo Samuel in the second round, Fred Warner in the third round, George Kittle in the 5th round, Greenlaw in the 5th round, Hufanga in the 5th round. I mean, just go on down the line. Brock in the 7th round, blah, 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 blah. Now, I'd rather have a first-round pick and take my swing at 11. I understand that. But if you're asking me for a team that's in the Super Bowl window, as the 49ers are, I don't care what the national people say. They are in a Super Bowl window and will be just fine. Thank you very much. I would trade 11 to get Myles Garrett. I'm not the Tennessee Titans or some crummy team that needs to build through the draft. I'm a team that wants to win a Super Bowl. And if I put Garrett opposite Bosa, my defense is a lot better, even if I need interior defensive linemen. You do. But then those interior defensive linemen who aren't as good are getting singled every single freaking play. So they're better. So I would do it. I would absolutely go after Myles Garrett, and I would give up the 11th pick, and I'm not even sure that would be enough, but I'm not sure also that Browns are going to have a ton of leverage. Everyone's like, well, that wouldn't be enough. He asked to be traded, and I know that that's not going to happen, but what he's essentially saying is, I'm not coming back. Oh, there you go, Steve. You're right. I stand corrected. Ayuk was a first-round pick. Even though he's a pain in the ass last year, he's good. That's a win. Absolutely. And they traded up to get him, actually, in a draft in which they had Jerry Jeudy in that draft and a bunch of great picks. But, yeah, that was thank you. Good call right there. That's on me. So let's see, Joe, Fred. So we got just from Fred. Let's hear from Joe. Let's hear from Joe Montana. This is Joe on Brock Purdy.
He's got a good show you 4 or 5 guys in the league making tons of money that haven't produced anywhere near what he's been able to do. And they just had one of those years where guys are getting hurt offensively, defensively. craziness in the beginning of the year with, the talking trades with the wide receiver, and then he gets hurt. They just had one of those years you just can't wait to get behind you.
Yeah, just chalk it up
to
that.
Move on.
But you think Purdy is the quarterback of the future? Pay him and
yeah, I think he's got a good understanding. I think one of the things I thought they pressed a little bit towards the end every time they got behind. So you saw Purdy get sacked more times. First of all, you've got some offensive linemen who are hurt, and so now you're making him hold the ball longer. And sometimes I don't know. It's only on TV that I can see, and which I hate to make the judgment. But when the guy gets sacked and I can't see a wide receiver or any receiver on the screen, it looks like they're trying to push the ball down the field, and that's not what they do. That's not typically what they do.
Yeah, I mean, it was just right from the get-go, right?
Yeah.
McCaffrey's not playing.
Yeah.
He's got not one but two Achilles.
Yeah.
All right, so there's Joe, and I don't disagree with Joe, and I've said this a lot. There's Joe's. By the way, the only reason I popped up is Joe getting appearance fees. Maybe Joe isn't getting the most money as far as appearance fees down there, but it's damn close. Joe, believe me, Joe doesn't go anywhere for nickels and dimes. Joe likes to get paid. And look, I would too if I was Joe Montana. It's like I'm Joe Montana, and I was the first quarterback to get $1 million for a season, not per game. I mean, nowadays they're getting like $2 million per game. Joe got that. I think it was in 1989. He broke through the $1 million barrier, and it was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And he was like, "Oh my God, they're paying a quarterback $1 million." Now they're paying quarterbacks like they're going to soon $3 million a game. So yeah, he's getting a lot of money. Joe's doing it. I mean, he gets paid a boatload. I know that for a fact. As far as Purdy is concerned, just to kind of hit that, I only wanted to play it because it was Joe. We all know this. There's nothing going on. There's nothing weird behind the scenes. It's just a matter of when it gets done. But the reason also I popped it up is because you got Kittle there, and I think he's going to get a deal, even though his deal's not up. They're not going to pay him at that 22 number. So they're going to absolutely pay George Kittle. Hufanga, I don't think they're going to be able to pay. He's just going to make too much money. He's looking at the Xavier McKinney deal, which is what the safety for Green Bay came over from the Giants to Green Bay got. It was 69, nice. But Hufanga's not getting that deal. And then the other one, when I've told you this before, is that I really like Dre Greenlaw, and it's going to be interesting, the offers that Dre gets, and if it's just a one-year deal from the 49ers, will be interested in that. But there's a linebacker for the Jets who's everything that the 49ers need. He's 25 years old, played for Robert Saleh, had like 154 tackles last year, super fast, 25 on his arrow is going up. And he also plays special teams, and he's going to get a lot of money. That's him right there. Jamie and Sherwood, 154 tackles, 10 tackles for loss, 3 breakups. Can play downhill with speed, cutting off the ball, pursuing the edges, blah, blah. Best football ahead of him. And they mentioned Atlanta and San Francisco, of course, with Robert Saleh. I'm sorry, you're going to get angry with me, but I'm taking this guy over Dre Greenlaw. He's 25, 154 tackles, 3 pass breakups. He can play special teams. He's great against the pass. I love Dre Greenlaw. I really do. But coming off an Achilles, and you can put this guy next to Fred Warner, and you got to sign one or the other. I love Dre. I love him. And what he does beyond what he brings actually on the football field, he's got the same kind of energy that I was going to say Jimmy Butler has, but we'll see what Jimmy Butler has. But he has the same kind of energy of like a Hufanga. And if they lose Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw, that's a lot to lose, because when they came back for that short period of time together, like the defense was back. It had its edge. And I'm sure Robert Saleh wants Dre Greenlaw, but a guy who's 25 coming off that kind of season, put him next to Warner, and he's on the upside. And as much as I love Warner too, he's played a lot of seasons. So you got to start thinking about the future, the now and the future for this organization. So when people say, well, they're not going to be very good for very long. Well, they're not going to be very good for very long and be in that window if they get nostalgic about their players like Al Davis did. You can't get nostalgic. You got to be more Bill Walsh than Al Davis. And you got to look at players and say, man, a dude coming off an Achilles that's going to sign a 1 year make good. What if he's not the same guy? And here we are in the Super Bowl window. This kid is 25 and on the upswing, and he's super fast. So him and Warner, and I know that Dre is great, but I don't know that he's going to be great because he's coming off the worst injury in sports right now. And I've got to pay one or the other. And I've got to start making really tough decisions because I want to make my team stay in this window and be on the up. And a 25-year-old kid on the up, that's the kind of moves you have to make that are unpopular with your fans that keep you going. So that's it for me. All right, so we went to Kittle deal, George, Joe, George, Fred. Armstead wins. I told you that. Stafford, I don't know if I might have this on this, and this is good news. This is, again, I wrote a piece again on the blog at johnlundunleashed.com. I wrote a piece about why the 49ers are going to bounce back, and one of the reasons I cited was one that was a combo deal, which was Cooper Kupp's leaving the Rams, and for whatever you want to say about Cooper Kupp leaving the Rams, he torched the 49ers enough, and especially in that NFC Championship game in 2021, was like, good friggin' riddance to you. And then the other one, I guess I didn't put it on my screen today, was that Matthew Stafford's wife came out basically, and I think this is a negotiation ploy. I think he's going to end up in LA with the Rams. But the Rams don't, for all the young talent they have and all the things that the Rams have done right over the last number of years as far as the draft, one thing that I still question about Brock Purdy, and we're not going to know until he does it on a more consistent basis, is that Stafford's a dog. And I know that Brock is to a certain extent, but what I mean by that is if there's 2 minutes on the clock and Stafford has the ball, he's pretty good. Now, I know in the NFC Championship game he didn't do it. I know last year against who'd they play in the playoffs? Washington, Detroit, something like that. Whoever they lost to last year, it's slipping my mind right now, but they had an opportunity. But Matthew Stafford has come back in a ton of games, and he just kind of has the it in that regard. I'm not calling him Montana or Brady or anything like that, but Stafford has the it when it comes to that. And even though he's going to be in his age 37 season, like Steph Curry, the guy can play, and he can still play. And if you've got to give him a lot better protection than maybe what you have to give Brock Purdy, he's not moving around that great anymore, but his arm is still elite, one of the best in the league. And with 2 minutes on the clock, he just has the dog in him. And so the Rams wouldn't be anywhere near that. So when I hear the rumors, because his wife basically came out and said, we may have to move. I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure the Rams want him back. What are they going to do? Play Jimmy Garoppolo? I mean, that's not happening. Jimmy's not going to be the starting quarterback of the Rams. And if he is, then the Rams aren't going to be a factor in the NFC West, let alone the NFC. So I don't know where they're going to go. Are they thinking Sam Darnold? He's from Southern California, went to USC. So do the Rams know something where they're like, hey, you know what? We're getting Darnold. And say what you want about Darnold. I think he finished, 5th or 6th in the MVP voting. So maybe the Rams think they're getting Darnold and they can reset at the position, not financially so much as age-wise. Maybe they are doing that. Maybe that's a dead giveaway. But if Stafford's available, I'm not saying the Niners go get him, but the reason I bring in Brock is, I'm sorry, but if you gave me one for 1 year, which quarterback do you want for 1 year, not for 5? Who do you want for 1 year? I'd take Stafford over Brock. I mean, Stafford, he's just got the it. He's got the arm, and he was the first overall pick. And I'm not basing it on that. It's just that Matthew Stafford is really, really good, and he's got the dog in him. And if they bring in Sam Darnold and they lose Matthew Stafford, they're worse. They just are. And I don't know where Stafford would go, because then he'd want to go to a place where he could win at a really high level. Because my first thing is he'd go to the Raiders, right? But they're not going to win at a really high level, even with Matthew Stafford. So I'd have to look at where Stafford would fit in. It certainly wouldn't be. Although, shoot, if I was Seattle, I'm thinking about, I don't like Geno Smith all that much. He probably wouldn't stay in the division. They probably wouldn't. Seattle probably wouldn't give him. Probably wouldn't do that. But I would. If I was Seattle, I'd much rather have Stafford for a year or two than Geno Smith. And then I could draft a quarterback and groom somebody. But I'm just trying to think who's a really good team off the top of their head. He could flip and go to Minnesota and just say J.J. McCarthy sit another year. Minnesota's really good. Who's lacking a quarterback? A team that's kind of on the verge but lacking a quarterback. I mean, that's the type of team you'd be looking at. Something like that. Trying to think. Tampa's got Baker. Anyway, somebody will come to the top of my mind. I got to look at the NFL standings real quick. In fact, now I wouldn't say I'm obsessed with it, but let me just look real quick. Giants, they're too far away. Who would be into Stafford? If I was Miami, I'd take him over Tua. If I was the Jets, but they stink. Raiders could use him. There's no question. Browns could use him, but they're not on the verge. Tennessee, he could be like a bridge gap, but he's not going to want to do that. Stafford has earned the point where it's like, I'm going to win. So if you need a quarterback, see the Giants need a quarterback, he wouldn't go there. Dallas, no, he wouldn't go there. Seahawks, that would be an interesting one. Let's see, who else do you got? Bears just got a quarterback. Falcons, you could put Penix on the bench and say Falcons for a year. Saints definitely need a quarterback, but they're not close. So that's interesting. I don't know where Stafford would go. I think that's just a negotiating ploy by his wife to say, because I could see Darnold going to the Raiders, for example, this next year, because I don't think they're going to be high enough to get a quarterback. All right, where are we now? Okay, Stafford, I went on a little bit of a thing. Rooting reveal, Chiefs dissed, George on Bourbon Street, Gio on Bourbon Street has happened. Pete Alonso. By the way, Pete Alonso, just real quick, since we're at a kind of a stop or a pausing point, and then we'll go into the rooting reveal and finish up a little actual talk about the Super Bowl, which is happening on Sunday. Pete Alonso, 2 years, $54 million with the Mets. He was never coming here. And they offered him $3 and $71, and he said, how about $2 and $54? So $27 million. I love when you hear that. Guy's going to make $27 million to play a childhood game, and everyone's like, oh, he's just so underpaid. It's like, he's making $27 million. He's making $30 this year, then as an opt-out. So he's going to opt out. So he's going to play $30 million this year, and then he's going to opt out and go back in the market next year. So 30 basically for a 2 and 54, but it's actually a 1 and 30 for Pete Alonso. The Giants were never going to get him. So I just wanted to bring that up. All right, let's get to this because I was going to talk about it earlier in the week, and I just never really got to it. And I was thinking about this the other day when it came to the Chiefs, but I was like, well, I'm not going to really talk about it because it wasn't Friday yet. So I wanted to play this a couple of days ago, but let's play it now and let's have a discussion about it. Here is Travis Kelce, and this was on Monday night, opening night. I've been to a bunch of these things, and it's just kind of a madhouse, and everybody tries to get their, especially nowadays, they try to get their questions in so they go viral, and it's like, look, I asked that question, that was me, and you want to get a bunch of followers and stuff. So they're trying to ask the jackassery of questions so that they can get publicity. And so this is which they would never ask Kelce this like face to face. He was at a podium and he couldn't punch him in the face, but he would have. So here is a question that Travis Kelce was asked and has become obviously a theme throughout the week against the Chiefs.
Travis, what do you love more, Taylor Swift or phantom 15-yard roughing the passer penalties in the playoffs?
That's a good question. Anybody?
So, then he puts his mic in there because it's like, you got to know it's me. I asked that question. It went viral. And look, I played right into the thing of it. But the reason why that fits my discussion point right here is I don't want to defend those guys, but I started thinking about it. And we started the show with the Warriors today, almost 3 hours ago. And so I'm thinking to myself, remember when the Warriors were dissed all the time, chiefly by Charles Barkley, who, by the way, is not welcome in San Francisco. He keeps ripping San Francisco. And if I was the Warriors, I'd be like, hey, he can be on video or something. And Kenny and Shaq are welcome and Ernie, but not Charles. And I like Charles, but this old Charles being Charles and ripping San Francisco, I've had it. But when he was ripping the Warriors for being this pretty jump shooting team, and for a guy who's on TNT, who I absolutely really enjoy watching a lot of times, but they don't, it's not like they're breaking down basketball, and that's fine. It's an entertainment show, and I love it. It's kind of like what I do. I give you sports, but I try to entertain and have fun. But Charles called them the pretty jump shooting team. And for a guy who watches basketball kind of for a living, they were suffocating teams defensively, and that's how the Warriors were really winning. I mean, they were hitting threes, and people wanted to talk about it. But for someone who has the insight that Barkley does and those guys on that set, they were so obsessed with the way they were playing offensively that they weren't watching the Warriors play defensively. And the Warriors were getting disrespected constantly. These pretty jump shooting teams couldn't beat the Bulls back in the day, and they couldn't beat this team, and they couldn't beat that team. So as the Warriors are just pounding through teams and winning 73 games, although they didn't win that year, all these different things, they're a really good team. They're a dynasty. They earned it. Stop disrespecting them. And at some point, it did happen that they just stopped getting disrespected, but it took a while. And so then I look at the Chiefs and I see questions like that from some jackass. And I already wrote, again, on the blog days ago, so you can, or maybe a week or so ago, and it's a good piece, in depth. The premise of it is that why would the NFL say to themselves, have this big meeting and this script that everybody's talking about, say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make Kansas City, which is the 34th largest media market in the country. There are more people in Manhattan by 3 times in New York City, in Manhattan, than the entire population of Missouri. But let's make Kansas City the mecca of the NFL. Does that make any sense whatsoever? Meanwhile, New York, the number one media market, sucks. The Jets and the Giants stink and have for a while. The Rams and the Chargers, the Rams got to the playoffs, but that's enough. That's no big shakes, and they haven't been great. They did win a Super Bowl, but it hasn't been as consistent. The Chargers just got Jim Harbaugh. They actually got to the playoffs, but, nobody's really, they're not even buzzing in L.A., let alone nationally. The Bears have stunk forever and just had the first overall pick and had a terrible season, and they have Caleb Williams, so maybe on the upside, that's the 3rd largest media market. We are the 4th largest media market here in San Francisco. They're not making us win or anything like that, and the Niners went 6-11. 5th largest media market is Dallas and Jerry Jones. They're an absolute flat-out dumpster fire. So in the 5 largest media markets in all of the NFL, There's 7 teams because you double up in New York and LA. 2 made the playoffs. And I did this whole chart, and I'm doing this off the top of my head. So if you go to johnlundunleashed.com, you can read the piece. But the average last time these teams won the Super Bowl, these 7 teams that are in the top 5 markets in the NFL, the Rams won a Super Bowl 3 years ago. Outside of that, those other teams that I mentioned, the 2 teams in New York, 2 teams in LA, the 1 team in Chicago, here in San Francisco, where we haven't won one since 1994, and the Cowboys, who haven't won one since the 93-94 season, a year before the Niners. The average for the top 5 media markets in the country, the last time they won a Super Bowl, is 30 years. 30 years for those teams is the average for the last time they won a Super Bowl. And if it wasn't for the Rams winning one 3 years ago, it'd be like 40 years. So between the 2 New York teams, San Francisco, Chicago, and Dallas, it's been like 40 years. So if there was a conspiracy theory, if there was a script, don't you think that the largest media markets, and why does that matter? Because that's the most eyes. If it's the most eyes, it's more ratings. If it's more ratings, it's more revenue. It's not a hard equation to understand. So let me get this straight. There's logical people saying that the referees want the Kansas City Chiefs in one of the smallest markets in all of the NFL to be the mecca of the league. That's where we want the center to be. Not New York, not LA, not Chicago, not San Francisco, not the Bay Area, not Dallas. Not any of those places. We want it to be Kansas City. No. Makes no sense. They wouldn't want Patrick Mahomes to be the center. You could make a case back in the day for New England that, that's a top 10 market. Boston, that's a top 10 market, but still, the Northeast part of the country. I mean, okay, let's give them one. Okay, Kansas City, let's give them one so that people don't think we're trying to do this. But if you wanted a conspiracy theory in terms of sports, you could do a conspiracy theory on Luka. I mean, he's going to the Lakers. And as I told you earlier in the weekend, I'm going to piece up on the website as well on this. If you wanted to go conspiracy theory, the Lakers have acquired guys like Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Kobe Bryant. And I'm not talking about free agency like Shaq. I'm talking about actual trades. Supposedly smart front office people, Luka Doncic. They gave the Lakers these players in trade in the last 50 years. And you're going, wait, they were dead in the water. Like LeBron James, we were counting him down. LeBron's leaving the sport in 3, 2, what the? And you get Luka, and then you just hit the reset button at 25, and they get a superstar for Anthony Davis is really good, but like Kobe Bryant was traded from Charlotte, who had drafted him for Vlade Divac. Like, really? Vlade Divac? Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was traded for like Dave Myers and a bunch of, you're just like, what, how did this happen? So if you want a conspiracy theory, that's a conspiracy theory because these guys keep coming up with things to reset their team every, 20 years. And they're in the second largest media market in the country. Now, again, it doesn't work because the last time the Knicks got a conspiracy theory and were any good, Patrick Ewing was in the 85 draft and they got the first pick and everybody screamed there was conspiracy theory. Well, they haven't been back since. And when's the last time the Knicks were in the finals? 94? So it's not like, so I don't believe in conspiracy theories when it comes to sports. I'm not dumb enough to think that they're all 100% on the up and up because they're not. There's something weird about this, that, or the other. But it's not that Kansas City has the refs in their pockets and the NFL wants to make the Chiefs the center of the NFL universe. It's dumb. It's seriously, there's no merit to it because when you look at a murder, for example, sorry that just popped into my head. But if you look at a murder, for example, you have to find motive, right? The number one thing you need to find the weapon and all these things. But part of the equation to convict somebody in our court of law in America is what's the motivation? Like, what's the motive? Give me a motive here. Come on. What's the motive? You're watching Dateline. What's the guy's motive? Oh, there was an insurance policy. Ooh, there was a secret insurance policy, and that person was going to make $5 million off that. Oh, that's the motive. Oh, he hated him. He cheated on his wife, or that guy, slept with his wife. Ooh, motive, right? There's motive. What's the motive for the league to make Kansas City the mecca of football, the mecca of the NFL? There isn't one. There isn't one. Oh, wait. Travis Kelce is dating, the most popular music diva in all of the world. That's clearly that they want that, and she's making a money. Well, why wouldn't she be dating Aaron Rodgers? He's single. He lives in Manhattan. He's on the New York Jets. That's the largest media market in the country. Why wouldn't you have one of the highest profile, like angry guys, right? Gruff Aaron Rodgers, and then nice, sweet Taylor Swift. Like Taylor Swift is that's the perfect yin and yang to have Aaron Rodgers, the angry, bitter, outspoken New York Jets quarterback with this nice, pure as the driven snow. And he's a huge fan. Remember, he went and saw her in New York and they showed him and he was digging it. So like that would be the thing. You'd have Aaron Rodgers and Taylor Swift. That's what would make sense. You'd have the Jets be really, really good if you were going to have a conspiracy theory, because then it's New York, which ESPN is in New York. They're in Bristol, Connecticut, but they're halfway between New York and Boston. They do a bunch of shows out of New York. So ESPN would be like, look, man, Kansas City's not doing anything for us. We're in the middle of New York City for our morning show. Make Aaron Rodgers and the Jets great again. And then Taylor Swift can be Aaron Rodgers' girlfriend, and he's bitter and angry, and she's happy and smiling. And there you go. And then keep showing her, and she's in New York. Why would you want a tight end, which we just got done talking about George Kittle not making a lot of money, relatively speaking, for the NFL, but that's one of the lowest paying positions in the league. Let's make Kansas City with a tight end at a low-profile position the center of the universe. Meanwhile, the Jets and Giants stink. Daniel Jones isn't going to be dating her, I know that, but Aaron Rodgers could be. Aaron Rodgers, he breaks up with girls left and right. Like, let's make Taylor Swift and Aaron Rodgers, who I know is a fan of Taylor Swift. Remember? Go back and watch that video from her concert. He's dancing. He's digging it. He likes Taylor Rodgers. That would work. I could buy that. And that's in media market 1. Now you're cooking with gas. So anyway, I don't mean to go off on a tangent and people are going, you like the Chiefs. It's not that. It's not that I like the Chiefs. It's just that, can we add a tiny bit of logic? I'm not saying that, let's not ruin a good story and everything. There's a conspiracy theory, and they're going to talk about it. But all week long, it's been the refs. And again, the reason I bring it up, and there you go, the labor union representing NFL referees blast conspiracy theories that officials have been tilting games in favor of the Chiefs. There's no logic to it. And so the whole reason I bring it up is not to defend the Chiefs, which I'm going to look at the comments line in just a second. Everybody's going to get all, you're defending the Chiefs. Is that this goes back to, if you're a Warriors fan, and I'm sitting here in the Bay Area, if you're a Warriors fan, they were disrespected too. And it was a while before people finally said, okay, those things are dumb. They're just really good. But, at the beginning, pretty jump shooting team. They're playing great defense. This is an awesome team. It's one of the best of all time. Could the Bulls beat them? Could that team beat them? Could the old Lakers? Could the old Celtics? I don't know, man. Because you know what? You can't put them in a time machine and the rules are all different. So that conversation is really stupid. But scream on, Stephen A. Scream on. They can beat this team and this can absolutely. It's like, what? Stop. The Warriors are really good. I know that. I don't know if they're in a Mount Rushmore of this or a list of that. And I really don't care what your list is. And I don't care who's the greatest of all time, because all it's done is for clicks. But I know the Warriors were really, 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 really good. And I don't care. And I don't want to disrespect them. And nobody should. They accomplished what few teams did. And so you look at Kansas City this Sunday against the Eagles, and they could have a 3-peat. They could get a 3-peat in this sport, which is ridiculous, no matter what. And the referees are not helping them to do that. They're not. It's dumb. There's no motive behind it. There would be no motive behind it. Travis Kelce and with Taylor Swift, she should be dating Aaron Rodgers. She should be dating, I don't know, Justin Herbert in market number 2 with the Chargers. She should be dating Caleb Williams in market 3 from the Bears. She can't date Brock. He's married. Is Dak? Yeah, I think Dak's married. Aaron Rodgers would be perfect. Gotham, market 1, Jets are good. That should be who wrote the script? It's a bad script, man. 34th largest market with a tight end with the biggest pop star in the league. That doesn't make any sense. It's dumb. But okay. Don't want to rip your own guys. It was kind of like when I did that whole thing about Buffalo and the culprit in the AFC Championship game, and I did that dumb thing about breaking down all the film. And the culprit in the game for Buffalo, the player who played the worst game, was DeMar Hamlin. He got burned again and again and again and again and again. And Andy Reid and the offensive staff are like, 3 is the guy to target, and they did. And so nobody in Buffalo wants to actually look at things and see how it was done and blame DeMar Hamlin. You can't blame DeMar Hamlin. He died on a football field. But then it's like ref. Easy, low-hanging fruit. Ref. Not DeMar Hamlin, who was actually really bad. Ref. All right, done with that. What do you think? Before I make a end of the week toast, a Super Bowl Friday toast, because my wife was so nice and she's the greatest wife of all time for bringing liquor out to me so I didn't have to run inside. But we did forget milk. So when Fred Warner froze up on the screen, you're like, what happened? What happened to the show? Well, I had to run in and get some milk. But I also had to add something to it. So I got to tell you that too. Oh, you know what? I got 2 things to do. Can I play this real quick? And then I'll make a drink and play this because I didn't get to this during the Hall of Fame talk. This was way cool. You may not like Shannon Sharp and Club Shay Shay and all that kind of stuff, but Sterling Sharp's going into the Hall of Fame. And this was Shannon Sharp's speech. And he said that I'll let you hear it. Here it is. And Sterling Sharp now is the former Packers wide receiver, lots of injuries, but he's going into the Hall too. But this was pretty cool.
Brother Sterling, I'm the only player of 267 men that's walked through this building to my left that can honestly say this. I'm the only pro football player that's in the Hall of Fame, and I'm the second best player in my own family.
I mean, that's pretty cool. And his brother's tearing it up and all that kind of stuff. So he's into the Hall of Fame, Sterling Sharp. And I get it. And I'm down with the way that they're doing that part of it where, okay, the guy didn't play as long, had the injuries, but was really, really good when he played. I mean, there is a certain element, certainly, to how long a player plays and all that kind of stuff. But that was a pretty cool moment. All right. And then the last thing before I make a drink, I have Cheifs dissed. And that's what I just talked about. And rooting reveal. I'm a little bit nardy to Pete Alonso. Gio on Bourbon Street. He already joined us a little bit earlier. If you missed it, just go back. If you're watching on YouTube, John Lund Unleashed. John Lund Unleashed. Please subscribe on YouTube. And you can go back and you can watch the show there. You can also, if you're watching on X, after we finish the show, you can go back and watch on X as well. And welcome to those, by the way, on Instagram. X and Instagram is at John Lund Radio if you want to subscribe to me there. And again, I'd love it if you would subscribe on YouTube. John Lund Unleashed. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Just give us hit the subscribe, hit the like, and then also make sure your alerts are on because, like I said, we do emergency shows. I post story of the day a little bit later, and I have a story that I write around it at johnlundunleashed.com. And so you'll get alerts when all those things go up. Plus, we post shorts and all sorts of things during the day. And if there is ever any breaking news, you want to have your alerts on so you have that as well. Again, John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. And we will do the show tomorrow at 10 a.m. Do remember, 10 a.m. tomorrow is a Saturday show. And then Sunday, I will let you know on Sunday. That's another reason you have your alerts online. I'm not sure what I'm doing for the Super Bowl, so I got to figure out when we're going to be on. Probably before, not after, because I want to enjoy bad food and good drink. And so I'm probably going to do something before and not after the Super Bowl, but I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't want to not be on during that day. So we have another day where we can still talk about the Super Bowl. So we're at the Chiefs dissed and rooting revealed. I don't want to root. Let me go back to the comments so I can see what people are saying. I don't want to root for the Chiefs. That's the wrong word. And I'm sure as hell not rooting for the Eagles. That's the wrong one. So I'm like this, and I don't know if you're the same way. When I sit on the couch, I'll be able to, and not a second before, and not the pregame, during the game, I'll sit down and it'll just come to me which team I like least, or how do I term that? And I'm just right now, it's a lean. It's not a hard lean, but it's a lean. Sorry to the Chiefs because of all this disrespect. And I like teams that are dominant and all these kind of things. And look, I can't stand the Chiefs. I really cannot. I don't like them. But then again, I look at the Eagles and I don't like the Eagles fans. Nothing against Jalen Hurts. Certainly, I don't like Nick Sirianni. It's one of those things where, like, really, you're balancing the dislike of either team, and you're like, what do I do? Like, what do I do, man? Are you saying bye because I said Chiefs? That could be fair. But I'm just like, man, it's just really hard because it's like I don't like either of these teams. I don't like Chiefs fans. I don't like Eagles fans. I don't like Nick Sirianni. I like Andy Reid a little bit better. I mean, what's your rationale? And because I really don't know. I might sit down and dislike the Eagles just a smidge, and then I'll root for the Eagles. But I don't know. I mean, not root for, but just kind of have a rooting interest in. And this whole thing of the disrespect of the Chiefs all week kind of has me like, because it's not referees, it's not officials. I told you that. So I don't know. That's just my rooting interest right now is a slight lean Chiefs. Both teams I dislike. I don't like Eagles fans. I like Andy Reid better. I got nothing against Patrick Mahomes. I think he's greatness. So anyway, I could be wrong. What was the interview with Tariq Owens like? Danny, give us a report. Tariq Owens on Blaze Radio. That's where my son is right now. How did he do? Danny, let me know. Give me a full report. How did Tariq Owens? How was George with Tariq Owens on Blaze Radio? What did you think? Was he good? Did George do a good job interviewing him? I'd like to know. All right. Don't go anywhere because this is going to be the last thing. We're going to make ourselves a drink. I'm going to help you out a little bit. Not that you don't know how to make a White Russian, I'm sure you do, but God, yesterday I had one and it tasted so good. I was in here working late and I thought, God, I need something to take the edge off. And I haven't had a White Russian. The dude, I haven't had a White Russian, Jeff Bridges, in forever. The dude. And so I got a little bit of this. You don't have to do this kind of vodka, but this is Hansen's, the espresso vodka that I was up there having. Now, you don't have to have this, but it's a really nice vodka. You can use any vodka. Vanilla vodka is great in a White Russian, by the way. Well, vanilla vodka. So there you go. Well, just a bit of that. Let me a little bit of that. Okay. So a little bit of the espresso vodka, which is really nice. Vanilla vodka. Vanilla vodka is an outstanding vodka to put in a White Russian too. Regular vodka works. It makes really not that big of a difference, but vanilla vodka is really good. This Hansen's espresso is very good. And then this is key. I don't mind Kahlua, but this stuff, this espresso stuff right here. This espresso stuff right here, which is what's the brand on that? Luxardo. Really nice coffee liqueur. So you put a little bit of that in there, just, a little smidge. Yeah. Pretty good. Their dog trying to get in here. Don't let him in. He's going to knock over the booze. And then, a lot of people, you put a good smash of Kahlua in there. I only put a little bit because I just put the coffee liqueur in there. Or the espresso liqueur in there. So again, you can do vanilla vodka, which is very solid. So I filled it up probably a little much. And then you just do like a splash of milk here. And then it's the dude. And there's your White Russian. I'm going to stir this with my finger. So it looks nice though, right? Make it in my other hand so I can get it a little closer. So that looks nice, right? Fancy looking glass and everything like that. A little White Russian action. I'm going to use this into a glass. What? Don't look at me like that. That's all I have. I'm not going to put my finger. I know where my finger has been, and I'm not going to put my finger in my White Russian. No chance. So I'm going to use that. All right. And so, as you well know, that's what it looks like. White Russian. You know what White Russian looks like. But anyway, the only reason I put this, it had one of these, and I was thinking about one of these, is that last night I'm working, it's late, and I thought I got to take the edge off, and I made one, and it was outstanding. Vanilla vodka is really good with it. So basically what you're looking at, and you know this, but I did the espresso vodka from Hansen's. I did the espresso liqueur, a little splash of Kahlua in there, and that's pretty much about 3/4 booze, and then you do a little bit of splash of milk in there. You can use cream, however deep you want to go on that kind of thing. Also, I don't know if you can get it, but my wife and I have had these in Idaho, of all weird places, on a lake. They did like a blackberry vodka or something like that, whatever it was. So you could do like a flavored vodka in one of these dudes. That blackberry vodka with one of these was bomb. That is outstanding. You want to try it? You don't want to try it?
No.
Okay, she don't want to try it. But we really appreciate it, and we gave you tons of accolades, just so you know, for bringing everything in. I really appreciate it. So there you go. That's pretty darn good. I mean, that's a pretty good drink. So there you go. So like I said, I it's not like I'm going to drink a ton of these things, and it is Friday, and it is Friday for it is quite boozy. Friday before the Super Bowl, so I thought we'd have a drink today. I'm a bourbon guy too. Don't get me wrong, and I told you this the other day. 59.50, but really 84. That if you're not a vodka guy, get it. And I do vodka more in the summertime. And I'm a whiskey bourbon guy. I love old fashions. My wife can attest. That's normally what I drink. But for some reason, this sounded really good last night. I had it, and it is outstanding. So I'm doing a bit of the dude, and it's really, really good. So I don't know, you know how like sometimes a drink will hit you, like some sort of a drink, and you're like, man, that was really good. And so that's what I did. So anyway, there you go. Danny Golding checking in because he watched Blaze Radio ASU, where George is doing the interview. He's doing his final day on Radio Row. He checked in with us earlier, and he was talking to Tyreek Owens, which is Terrell Owens' kid, and Tyreek actually was with the Niners, I think, in camp for a little bit. But Danny says the following because he watched the interview. It was a good interview. George and he talked about both growing up in the Bay Area and how they grew up rooting for the Celtics. That's very cool, man. Thank you for the report, Danny. I'm going to go back and watch it, but I didn't, obviously I got to think I'm doing something. I'm drinking. I can't check in on his show. There you go. That's one way to start, Antonio, my good friend. Bourbon and cannabis, the only way to start the day. I'm just saying, like, this was good, and it tasted good right now. It's a nice, it's Friday. I still got to work, but I got a lot of stuff to do, but I can have one. I can't have I'm not going to have 8 of these things. It'll be on my face. But they taste very refreshing. It's chocolate milkish. And it's adult chocolate milk is what is really what a White Russian is. 4 Roses, Jim Beam, Bullet, Wild Turkey. There you go. Of those, I'm not a Jim Beam guy. I love Bullet. In fact, I have a giant bottle of Bullet on my bar cart right now. Don't mind Wild Turkey, although I got a great Wild Turkey story, but we're almost 3 hours into this thing. I gotta go. So do you. Let's see. What's Papa pissed about? What did he do? Were you over there watching that show? What is he upset about? Let's see. I'm only a lightweight, only at night for me. I totally get it. Like I can, all I'm going to be doing is editing things and putting things up and writing and all that kind of stuff. I'm only going to have one of these. I'm not going to have 8. That's not going to happen. But anyway, all right. I think that is good. What do we got here? I had to grow up. All right. Very, very cool. Let me make sure that we caught everybody on the stars today. Thank you, Daniel, for contributing to the show very early. A Venmo contribution for Georgia's Hurricane Fund. Thank you for that, Daniel. Always appreciated. John Holmes, love hanging out with you. He was talking about pickle juice in a Bloody Mary. So pickle juice in a Bloody Mary. I've done that, and it is excellent. I'd forgotten about that. Thanks to everybody for hanging out. I do think we have covered everything today. Butler reaction, Butler presser, LA over Golden State, LeBron, NFL honors, Hall of Very Good. No Eli. He didn't get in. Belichick on the red carpet. I will not put that up there again. It's just unbelievable. He does look like a valet, and she looks like a superstar. And it's like, come on, dude. I know you got all the money, but try harder. The Kittle deal. Joe, George, and Fred from Radio Media Row yesterday. Eric Armstead wins the Walter Payton Man of the Year. We had him on 3 times, never won it. He leaves us. Pop and I are a jinx. Could Matthew Stafford leave the Rams? Rooting reveal. I told you I'm a little lean towards the Chiefs, but we shall see. But I know that's going to anger you. And it's only because they're getting disrespected by people, much like the Warriors did. Gio on Bourbon Street. He said it was just okay, although he did like the Hurricane, which I knew he would, and Pete Alonso back to the Mets. Did I miss anything there today? We did a lot of stuff. It took us a long time, but we did a lot of stuff today. It was very, very cool. Let's see. Now people are trying to get Joy to have Bloody Marys. She's busy, man. She's got kids, work. I mean, I'm not trying to. I'm trying not to influence anybody. It's not. You don't have to start drinking right now just because I was drinking. I mean, I'm kind of. I got issues. Let's see. Good show. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Somebody said good show, and I'm trying to get it up there, but there you go. Thank you very much. Always appreciate it. All right, everybody have a great Friday. Have a tremendous Friday. If you're going out tonight, be safe and all those kind of things. And then what we'll do is we'll be back here reconvening. A little more Super Bowl talk. We got enough today, but a little more Super Bowl talk. Things will happen tonight. And so we'll talk at 10 o'clock in the morning for a short while. And then Sunday, we'll figure out something because it's Super Bowl day, even just to tailgate a little bit, you and I together. And then, then I'm not doing anything during the game or after the game because, I want to eat some bad food, drink some bad drink, and have a good time. And can't wait to rub my wife's back and shoulders. And so we'll do that. And on Sunday, we'll get together as well. But 10 a.m. tomorrow. Make sure, as always, you are subscribing to the channel, John Lund Unleashed. John Lund Unleashed on YouTube. Make sure that you hit that like button. We really appreciate it. Slam the like button and keep those alerts on so then you'll know because I don't know when we're going to be on Sunday. Hit me up also, X and Instagram. We broadcast there as well if you're watching that way at John Lund Radio and everything in one ball of wax. JohnLundUnleashed.com. We'll have a new piece up, any story of the day video to follow. Make sure that you check that out and have a bunch of great stuff up there right now. So you can go there right now if you missed the show or if you just miss me in general, which I'm sure you do. All right. Have a lovely day. We went 3 hours today, 2:59:06. We almost went 3 hours today. So thank you very much for coming in. Really had a great time today. We went through a lot. I think we accomplished a lot and had a fun time doing it. I hope you enjoyed. Please tell all your friends and enemies to subscribe. Have a great Friday. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 10 a.m. and Sunday as well on John Lund.
Thanks for hanging out with John Lund Unleashed. We'll try to be better next time, though I wouldn't hold my breath. Please like and subscribe on the John Lund Unleashed Pod YouTube channel. Watch live shows weekdays at 8 a.m. on YouTube, Instagram, and X. And make sure to have your alerts on for shows throughout the day or night. All things Lund can be found at johnlundunleashed.com. johnlundunleashed.com.
Goodbye!